Hey, hey, hey.
There we go. Now they can hear both of us. I fucked this up.
I think my mic's working.
Yeah, I can hear you.
My thing says my mic's working.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's they couldn't hear me for a second because it's listening to my output but not my input. My thing crashed last time I tried to record the stream using a higher resolution than the stream is streaming, so I'm just going to record at the stream resolution. I just hope it's fine. So, I'm just gonna. Okay, 5 minutes is over. I haven't shaved in a while because I've been so busy trying to finish this fucking video. So, hello friends. Today we're going to be streaming video games, maybe chess, I don't know, answering questions.
I can't hear you.
Oh no. Oh no, what have I done? Dan can't hear me. My mic settings are working fine. Oh no, Dan's audio is broken. Okay, so check that out. I've got a giant helmet. Look, so we're gonna do that. This is awful. Look at that. That's terrible. What is that? Jeez.
Also, I turned it to the chat and I'm like super loud.
Oh, according to the chat, you're really loud. What? Dan.
I'm just gonna fix that on my end. I'm just gonna tune my audio on my end. You can hear me. I'm listening to you by listening to the stream.
That's bad. No, that's not how you do stream. Oh god. Dan is loud, H-bomb is quiet. Someone just donated some rub. I don't know what those are. Nice weak chin. I have a chin from good angles and good lighting, I promise. Whenever I had friends in college, they would say, and I would stop shaving for a while, they'd say, oh, it looks fine, it frames your face. And then I would shave and they'd say, oh, it was terrible, we just didn't want to lie to you. We just didn't want to tell you how bad you looked. And I hated those people. I realised they weren't my friends. Find friends who tell you how shit you look constantly. Maybe that's why I get on so well with...
That's rubles.
Weirdos from the internet, because they're just so honest about how full of hate they are, and I kind of appreciate that more than I do the weird friends I made who are like, oh, I'm from Milton Keynes, I'm really friendly, but I won't tell you when there's a problem. And that's why I had to fix the fucking sink. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so anyway, this part of the stream is over. We're going to do the thing where you actually stream. I'm going to stream my display. Which display? Hold on. How does streaming work? Oh god. This is a shambles. I realised that I could add Dan into the call and maybe have a guest while the stream was starting. So this is just a shambles. I can barely hear you. What? Oh. Well. Okay, how about now? I still can't hear you through Skype. That's awful. Tools, options. Dan says he still can't hear me through Skype, even though I'm looking, I'm gonna, hold on. That's bad. Oh, actually no, display capture. All of this music is still going. This fucking cantata music is just phenomenal. Okay. Okay, so here's my Skype. Hold on. Here is my Skype settings. You can clearly see that when I talk all the way up, mic, it's there. And when Dan speaks or types to say he can't hear me, the audio comes from on his end, not mine. Mr. or Hackintoshes are so efficient and good. I bought so many Twizzlers today. There's like one store like 8 miles from me that I happened to pass picking my family up from the train station that had Twizzlers. So I thought, is your mic muted in the... No, it's definitely not. Dan has always had problems with Skype. It's always a different problem. This one is an interesting problem. I don't think we've had this one before. So, I uploaded my video last night and it got blocked in Australia and the US for having some BBC 3 unedited documentary stuff on it that I just took out and re-uploaded. But interestingly enough, it wasn't blocked in the DPRK, which I thought was quite funny. Oh my god, that is... Rub 567? Is that 567 rubles? I don't know. What is that in money I can understand? Oh, it's 8.004 pounds. Fantastic. Oh. It looks like you were... Dan briefly tried to stream to me. Aw, love your videos, thanks. Thank you. Thank you to Kesha Carolyn for giving me his money. Thank you for super chatting money at me.
Yeah, I'm just clicking buttons.
Cool. Dan uses a Hackintosh because the Mac professional editing computer hasn't been updated since 2013, so to do an editing job you need to fake a Mac if you like Final Cut. Let's have a look at what the Mac Pro currently looks like. I fucking love this music. Yeah, crank it up. This is, I found a tape of Cantata audio and personally remastered it. I did a bunch of weird noise reduction and stuff to make it sound good. Red Afro asks, will you make a video on JonTron? I kind of feel like I've already shot my load with regards to that one fake sketch. But... Oh, Dan's calling me. I can hear it on my phone. Hello? Hello? Dano? Please. Please speak to me. This is awful. So, however, I do want to do a video about the bizarre reactionary attitudes to immigration and supposed facts regarding them. And there's a really fun way I think I can fold some of John's views into that. I'd rather not. I feel like it's really, really easy to make fun of these people, and I like making like genuine points. I like video essays. You know, it is super easy to just dunk on these people, but I feel like expectations of me are to do something more grand, and I also really, really want to finish the fucking Dark Souls 2 video, and so I'm going to be doing that first. And then next I have the next serious lore analysis. Please pay no attention to the metallic skull helmet in the background. If you can glimpse it a little. Oh, I'm going to make it stare at the camera, that makes a lot more sense. You have beautiful eyes. Oh. Yeah, so Dark Souls 2. Next thing. I've got some other stuff planned. I kind of want to do a thing about the speedrunning community. I've got a couple of... I had the honour of playing Neo in Heather Alexandra's bedroom and talking about how good Neo is. And while we were there, she was telling me some really cool stories about the speedrunning community and verifying some things that I thought would be fake. Dan just hung up on me again. I'm just such a terrible crowd pleaser. So, they verified some stories that I believe to be fake, but which are true. So now I think there's a really good video in talking about some of the things that were discovered with the speedrunning community by accident or in order to enable their runs. I don't want to spoil what that would be. I'm considering it, but I don't know why. I don't know if the people who watch me actually care about that. I do have this... I'm at this point in my career where I kind of have to pick between talking about games and talking about culture and these weirdos. Because when I do one, there's always people in the comments saying, go back to gaming, or please do more about these people. Like right now, people are saying, please talk about JonTron. And I know I like doing both, but I'm not sure if it's fair to make a living making content when it's so varied. Dan says, yeah, it's a problem on my end, be right back. So he's fixing that. So I think I'm just going to do whatever I feel is appropriate at the time. And sometimes it's a weird video essay no one asked for about the Batman comics or stuff. So I think I'm at the point where I have to view this as now as people are paying me to do what I think I should be doing. Because that's the only way I can justify it, because otherwise I have to stop doing half the content that I do. And that, I think, is a shame. I think I enjoy... I don't think I could be a balanced, healthy human being if I just did video games or other stuff. I just got a message. And I'll read the rest of that later, because Twitter will tell me 8 times that I have a new message. Remake Book says, I would watch you just eating Twizzlers, to be honest. Well, I'll have you know, Twizzlers are fucking terrible, okay? Like, the import cost on these, this costs like £2 at the American import store I normally get them at. This cost me like 89 pence because I found this weird shady store where everything's super cheap and it clearly was stolen. So I bought a ton of them. I've already completely destroyed one of them. And Twizzlers taste awful, but they have this slight, like, this aftertaste, this afterglow, this aura that's just feel they're nice. It tastes like refined strawberry in a really good way. Like the only comparable thing is the strawberry milkshakes that they make at McDonald's in Britain, which just isn't at all like a strawberry. It's this processed taste that's itself amazing because it's just pure sugar. And Twizzlers are that. I was visiting my girlfriend in Brooklyn in February. That's why like one video came out. I filmed that in the basement of her apartment, and they also had red vines, which are magical. They're even worse than Twizzlers, which I wasn't sure was possible. I didn't think it was possible to be worse than Twizzlers. But the aftertaste is even better. Like, it's this weird sense of, yeah, maybe it's just the sugar rush. I don't know. I just realized I'm making like weird hand motions to describe Twizzlers. As a kid, I loved strawberry laces and was fat, and that was why. And at some point, I gained or lost access to my favourite kind of strawberry laces because I went to university in Wales, and that's when I lost a tremendous amount of weight because I didn't have access to my one kind of sweets. So now I need to pace myself. Sweet Monkey Meats just paid $2 to ask me to upload the cassette I remastered, so I can do that, yeah. It is on YouTube. If you look up 3M Cantata tape, there's an hour of the tape, but I took it and stole the MP3 of it from the video and just did some stuff. I just took out the noise and punched up the bass and the trebly, the bass and the trebly. There's no way to pull out a Twizzle without ripping the entire packet open, and then it's just wasted. Like, you can see how I got into this packet in the 5 seconds that it existed. Like, I took a single Twizzle and like it completely just like immediately ripped out, and then the packet, it was just wasted. So stupid. But yeah, I'll put the tape up somewhere. I don't have maybe on like Twitter I'll just link it as an MP3 or something. I wasn't expecting to have my webcam on this long. I think because I'm waiting for Dan to get his thing sorted, and also to figure out what kind of chess I'm going to play, because I have like that nice board game chess thing, but I also have you know, the web chess things. But I just realized that Blinshay just pointed out my stream member still must die to that guy in Bloodborne. This isn't to do with Bloodborne at all. Chess and Hangout stream. Let's chess and where is Dan? How do you spell cantata music? It is cantata. This is a remastered, I think it's a 3M tape, which is, I believe, an old kind of tape player they had in department stores where there's huge heavy-duty beasts of machines with giant tapes that are designed to last forever. Arguably one of the origins of vaporwave music was the music they play in, department stores and stuff to try and keep you there and buying things. And specifically, someone like Kmart used to send a new tape, and they get a new tape in every few months with the store music that would be playing, and it would, over a very long period of time, getting played thousands of times, get horribly distorted. Someone just found a giant box of months and months and months of these old Kmart tapes, and they've put it up online, and you can just listen to old distorted Kmart tapes, months worth, and it's beautiful, and I guarantee you at least most of it has been sampled in vaporwave somewhere. So that's the story. Oh, Dan is calling me again. My phone's going to start beeping at me about it, but I want to reread the how much money to have you possess my very being. I'm sorry. I can't even possess myself. Hello? Hello? Daniel! Daniel, please!
Oh, there we go.
Oh! He's here!
Okay. Oh, it's... Okay, so this is awful.
Oh.
No. I suddenly feel like an idiot.
Well, because you finally are in my stream.
So the problem did not in fact require a full reset of my computer, and was not actually a problem. The problem was that I had the output, the targeted speakers set to the virtual console, which is currently deactivated because I don't need it.
Oh right. I thought it was going to be something like I forgot to plug in my headphones. But
pretty close, basically one step removed from my headphones weren't plugged in. Yes.
Yeah. My playback devices are weird. Whenever I turn on or off one of my monitors, it sets that as my audio output because they have speakers built in, and I just want it to be my Focusrite, so it thinks I have a bunch of monitors that don't exist. It's dumb. Anyway.
Windows is really bad at device management.
Yep. So, in case those of you who don't know who is on the other end of the phone, this is Dan. Is it Olson with an E? I'm kidding.
No. Turns out it's Olson with an O.
Poor guy. Perhaps the most acclaim you've received, and your name was spelt wrong. That's.
Oh wait, is my name spelt wrong in your video? Did you spell it wrong in the video?
No. There was that newspaper thing, wasn't it?
There was a newspaper article.
Yeah. Unless, of course, the most acclaim you've received is from one of my videos, which is not true. There was a point where I had more subscribers than you. I was like, yes, this is it. I've made it. And then your subscriber count doubled. It was fantastic.
That's not the first time it's happened either. I've been in smaller news websites and whatnot a bunch of times, and about half of them all, my name's been spelled wrong.
I wrote an article.
It depends on whether or not they contact me. So anytime they contact me and they're it's hey, we want to do this thing, then those ones get it right. But when they just hey, you want to watch this really cool video by Dan Olson, it's oh. So I end up sending these emails, these really polite, hey man, it's awesome that you showed my stuff, but my name's spelt wrong.
I wrote an article in June 2014 about Godzilla and why it's great and why Pacific Rim wasn't as good as it, and one other website did like 5 best articles this week in obscure spaces made by no one who matters, and one of them was they linked to it, and I thought, yes, this is it, I've gone over. Never did. It's fine. I have opinions about Godzilla and or Pacific Rim. It's good. Oh, wow, jeez.
Why promoting Mac? Why are people...
I was making fun of Macs because of your whole Hackintosh PC like that in order to use Final Cut with like decent spec video at this point.
No, it's definitely a problem, and like a lot of their professional users have been talking about it for years now, that it's like the Pro line is just kind of getting underrepresented. Now that said, like if you do drop like the $5,000 on the like top of the line iMac, like with all of the
iMac,
all of the stuff added into it, like it is a very powerful machine. It's more just like if you need customization and you don't want to have to do everything through like Thunderbolt dongles, then it's like there really just isn't a good replacement for the Mac Pro line. And I think the thing that really gets to people about it is that they haven't just folded the line. Like if they straight up discontinued it, like the old MacBook line, like when they're like, look, we're not going to have 2 tiers of laptop anymore. We're just going to consolidate it into the one. If they just straight up consolidated it, I think people would be a lot more, it would be easier to accept and just be like, oh, okay, that's the current state of things. But it's like they're still selling the little, they're still selling the little trash can. And it's not an awful computer if you want a 3-year-old computer.
I mean, I just now looked at the specs versus cost for the trash can iMac, and I think it's abysmal. But
it's not as bad as it seems. No. So here's the thing that kind of always makes up for it. It's the same kind of thing. Like, this is an extreme example, but like you look at NASA and like the stuff that they're putting on probes, and like the computers that they're putting on probes, you're like, I built a better machine than this in middle school. It's like, why? And it's like, it's because it's the quality of the parts, it's hardened, it's like radiation shielded, it's all this other stuff. Now that's an extreme example, but so like the Mac Pro, like really, even though the like on paper performance specs aren't quite what you would necessarily expect, it's the system as a whole and the way that it internally functions. Now at this point, nothing's going to really work around the fact that it hasn't been refreshed in almost 3 years. Like, that's kind of the elephant in the room, and that's the problem. Like, even if they were just refreshing them, even if it was incremental upgrades, like just something. So I don't know, I'm kind of a little bit bitter about it, but my stability, like my computer is actually pretty stable. It's just starting to hit the limits of it because I've just been kind of like piecemeal upgrading the same core for 6 years now, 5.5 years now.
I'm just looking at the iPhone, just in terms of like, oh, surely Apple's walled garden means that their thing is super good, and I just compared the iPhone 7 to the Zook Z1, and I have the Z2. It's like a really like incredibly cheap, dumb Chinese knockoff phone, and I think the specs are all like higher on the previous version of the phone I have in my hand than the iPhone 7. Something's wrong with that. You shouldn't be able to get away with that. It's not fair. Then again, I'm a weirdo who has weird expectations of smartphones. For a long time I used a phone which was basically just a small Panasonic camera with a phone in it. I
think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, in the questions for Reasonable People video, I pretend to talk on it, and people are like, that's not even a phone, it's pretending to talk on it. And I'm like, no, that was an actual phone. That was my phone.
Yeah, it's like if, oh man, I would actually be willing to pay, not really good money, but a bit of good money to get my hands on Oh no, the N gauge on an N gauge.
Oh yeah, to be able
Like
to
just as a
side
prop.
cock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost, in a store I saw for £40, a probably broken Ouya, and I almost bought it there and then to use as a prop. And when I came back to definitely get it as a prop, it was gone. Someone else had the same idea. I just realised that in this horrible lighting on this webcam, you can sort of see the horrible head lobe things that I have on my skull. It's horrible. God. People keep giving me money and saying thanks. That's nice. Jeez.
You got that super chat enabled too.
I enabled the super chat. I enabled it ironically though, much like you did.
Yeah, and then left it enabled unironically because it's like, all right, if people want to give me money,
Yeah.
like, they can ironically give me all the real money they want.
Eli Davrin says, Harris, I have a bricked Ouya. I'll ship it to you for free. Oh no!
I wonder if you could unbrick an Ouya. Ouyas were great. They came out of the box broken. The N-Gage isn't safe because GSM decryption is being completely cracked. Yeah, oh yeah. I would never actually like put actual data into an N-Gage. I would pretty much almost entirely use it as a prop. Though if I could get it to turn on, that would like if it at least turned on, that would probably be good. Wait, N-Gage can claim it's got the only Rifts game ever? Wait, what? I gotta look this up.
I'm opening Tabletop
Rifts,
Simulator.
Promise of Power. Holy crap.
Rifts?
So are you familiar with Rifts at all? So it's a role-playing game made by Palladium, Kevin Simbeda, and it's been going for decades now, and it's got a lot of problems. It's really, really broken, but it's really, really popular. So it's giant robots, and actually it's not giant robots, it's everything. It's every bad idea you've ever heard from a role-playing game, from a tabletop role-playing game, it has it crammed in there somewhere on top of a lot of other stuff. Some of the biggest problems with it, or like that it's kind of notorious for at this point, is that Kevin Simbeda is not a very good like system designer, and so when you step back from the environment of like 1995 and actually look at Rifts through a modern mechanical critical lens, it's kind of like there are like 8 different ways to avoid attacks. So it's like, all right, somebody attacks you, and it's like, okay, well you can dodge, parry, block, roll with punches, evade. It's like, and the thing is that the combat like flow chart of like what you actually check everything against is like 30 steps. It's like if somebody like attacks you, it's like first you check against your block value, then you check your dodge value, then you check your like then you can potentially make a like roll with punches or a counter attack, or like all of these other things, and just it's absurd. And there's like a ton of redundancy. A lot of things aren't clear. They've shipped multiple books that like just straight up were broken, like parts were missed. So it'll be like refer to chapter 3, but there is no chapter 3.
Rift sounds fantastic, and who'd have thought came out on the N-Gage. Perfect, yeah. So you
Rift's
have Tabletop
Promise of
Simulator.
Power is a 2005 video game.
Oh wow. I think I bought you Tabletop Simulator, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, now we can play chess in a virtual physics environment. If you want to play chess, I mean, you might not want to, but
I don't really want to play chess.
it's okay. Well, in that case,
I'm really bad at chess.
so am I.
And it feels like a point of pride. Like that it's like, oh, no, I will embarrass myself in just the absolute worst way imaginable.
It feels, it's always been a point of failure for me that I enjoy chess in that very kind of pretentious way, but I'm bad at it, and I'm always beaten by people with even a casual interest, and so I'm the kind of person who will open up a stream, say, "Oh, let's all play some chess," and lose to everyone. So, so Dan, if you don't wanna, I'll invite someone else in. We'll see. A little bit of a fish donates €10 saying, "This is ironic money, you can't exchange it for goods and services." This is Katana, she's got my back.
Oh, she's got that. I keep getting just like some like absurd comments about that video. Like, okay, the funniest one repeating comment that I get, and I like this one because it kind of proves the point, and I mentioned it in the comment response. I still keep getting people being like, no, Griggs actually does show up later. He's in that scene with the Joker where the Joker, like, you know, intimidates him and stuff. I'm like, that's before. That is earlier in the movie.
Yeah. That
scene is earlier in the movie. Like, this just proves my point about how, like, poorly this movie actually places its events, is that people are like, wait, there was one other scene. Like, they know there was another scene that I didn't, like, put into the montage, and they know that scene's there, but they can't place it, so they just assume it came later. But it didn't, and I had other people being like, "No, he's in the, isn't he at the lab when they like steal all the bomb stuff?" I'm like, "No, that's another guy. That's just a different white guy with a beard."
I saw a comment getting upvoted that was like, "No, he appears in this other scene," and I thought, "Oh God, is the fact that it's that hard to remember what order the movie takes place in, and even another reason why the editing is bad?" And the answer is yes.
Yes.
You explained it really well. I still haven't seen it, which is bad, because I liked Man of Steel, and I'm yet to see any of the other two movies, because I kind of secretly know they'll turn out to they'll be disappointing, so...
Yeah, Man of Steel has a lot more commendable about it than the other two. Like, so Suicide Squad just kind of fails. Like, it's a little bit more enjoyable, just because there's more... you know, like, a lot of the actors really are kind of putting their heart and soul in it. And the one thing that I can say about it is that the acting is not awful. You know, the writing is often terrible, but the acting is generally doing okay. So you can kind of just get yourself into a place where it's like, all right, I'm just going to sit back and just sort of watch this and have an okay time.
I used to be pretty good at chess, but it's harder in digital space because you can't stack them as easily.
So the Batman vs Superman it's a mess. It's an infuriating mess, and it's trying a lot less hard than Man of Steel did. Like, Man of Steel is a very try-hard movie, which, you know, is kind of commendable. Like, at least it is failing to do interesting things, but you can see it's trying to do interesting things with its storytelling. The biggest problem with Batman vs Superman, and I would say it's the same kind of problem that Killing Joke has, is that it substitutes reference for actual content. You know, like, all of the best parts of Batman vs Superman are just scenes where they literally just quote better writers.
Oh, God. Speaking of quoting better writers, I remember feeling like a physical shooting pain in the part in Pontypool where the guy just openly quotes Roland Barthes. Like, I get it. Thank you. I was real mad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's picking up. Yeah, where's the drop?
I don't know why people are saying the full cut is awesome. The full cut is like, it's awesome compared to the theatrical cut in that way that you're like, I really wanted to like this movie, but it was awful, but I can't fully admit that it was awful. And the ultimate cut is less awful, so that means it's good. And it's like, no, that's not what that means. That just means it's less awful. Like, the ultimate cut is more comprehensible. Like, it adds a little bit more connective tissue. But, like, the underlying story is still garbage. Clark still spends all his time sulking. You know, there's still the whole problem with the stupid magic bullet. Lex's plot still makes absolutely no sense as a, like, mastermind plot. Like, that it's like, okay, this is supposed to be some kind of, like, long con, but, like, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like some Joker level, like, hey, let's just cause chaos. And if it was just like, I just want to destroy the world because I hate things and whatever, who cares, then it would be like, all right, your idea is stupid, but, you know, chaos is kind of your thing, so whatever. But if it's like, no, he's got a plan. And this is sort of the running problem with their entire franchise, is that they keep doing these things, and I get all these people defending it in the comment sections where they're just like, oh, that's planting for a later movie. I'm like, it's not planting for a later movie. Planting for a later movie is when you make, like, a sidelong reference to something that has nothing to do with the current plot, but it's just kind of like, you know, introducing an idea that's going to come up later. If Lex's entire plot makes no sense in this movie, but makes sense in the next, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's not planting for a later movie. Like, it's like, oh, well, they're going to... Someone was telling me, they were trying to convince me that it's like they're going to fill in, like they're going to explain Clark's mental state in the next movie. And it's like, that's too late. Like, that's one movie too late to explain what was going on in Batman vs. Superman.
So Sol says, H-Prom, you look like you're going to top yourself. Cheer up, mate, and milk that sweet, sweet Patreon money. I look sad because I'm listening to Dan explain how the sequel to a movie that I quite liked is really bad, and I haven't seen it yet. So that's my listen intently while being quite worried about the future of movies face. Dan, someone just asked... Someone paid $10 to ask me to ask you about... your opinions on VR's feasibility and future. I actually today rewatched your thing where you drive back and talk about VR and don't... And then it gets... You have an existential crisis. So maybe in retrospect you can say more about VR. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so... I don't know. I mean, I've spent a lot of time talking about VR on streams and kind of like whether or not it's the future or not. I don't think that VR is like the future in sort of this... excuse me, in sort of this like monolithic takeover way. Like, I don't even think you're looking at a similar sort of penetration to the market as you got with mobile. And a lot of it comes down to the way that you physically interact with virtual reality. Like, just the fact that it's like, as long as it requires a headset, that's always going to have a dramatic impact on the fundamental nature of the medium. I do think we're finally at a point technologically where VR is stable enough and able to deliver a high enough quality product that it's actually kind of worthwhile to make things in VR. And I think for video games, and here we go. Here's the biggest problem with discussing VR, and I talk about this in my rant that I've got on my channel, is that VR means so many different things. Like, it's a metonym for a collection of like 3 or 4 kind of loosely related experiences that all use similar hardware. Because spherical video is something completely different from a interactive video game experience. So, like, that's kind of the thing that needs to be kept in mind when you're talking about, like, okay, well, what's the future of VR? And it's like, well, what kind of VR? Video game VR has, I think, a very it has the brightest future. Spherical video has a dimmer future, but I don't think it's doomed. I think spherical video you're going to still see grow a lot more, but it's going to mutate a lot more before it finally stabilizes. A lot of the things that people are trying right now are very much just kind of the proof of concept things. People are doing a lot of stuff that is like that comes naturally to it, basically roller coaster type experiences where it's like, all right, we put a 360 GoPro rig on the front of a roller coaster and sent it down the tracks, and you can experience what it's like to be on a roller coaster. You're still going to see a lot more of those, but that's the majority right now. It's like, go hang gliding, ride a bike down a mountain, whatever. And but I think before because that's just sort of showing off the technology, and it's kind of fun, but that's not enduring. People aren't going to keep coming back to that over and over again, because even though it's kind of cool, it's only kind of cool a couple times before you're like, I'd really actually rather just ride a real roller coaster. You know, because when you ride a real roller coaster, there's a whole lot more context around it. You're going out of your way somewhere, you're in a new location, and you know, this sense of place is actually a big part of VR and the complexity surrounding it. That, you know, you're at home, that it's like, okay, where do you engage with VR? What do you do with the headset? What kind of an experience is worth the trouble of putting on the headset? So in spherical video, I think mobile is the way that it's going to go, both because of the access gateway through people being able to use hardware that they already own, their phones. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of that. I think that one's close to an inevitability, that as people get more and more used to it, as the technology gets better, then content creators can put out higher quality, air quote, normal videos that make use of the spherical technology in new and interesting ways. One of the big problems with that, though, is that spherical video is like really demanding. You really need to start at like 4K as far as the like unwrapped video resolution is concerned.
This is genuinely fascinating, and I even have more. I have anecdotes I want to add. But the first question: which one of the things is the king?
Which one of the headsets?
Which one of the chess pieces is the one that will kill me if I take this piece of my horse? I don't remember which one is the king.
The king is the.
They're both crowns.
Yeah, they're both crowns. The king is the shorter of the two crowns. Paradoxically,
the queen likes her. Oh, wait. Does that mean that I can just fucking take this? Oh shit.
Oh, the queen also starts on color.
Oh, I just fucked up. Yo, I'm so bad at this game. Sorry, you were talking about VR technology. I've already lost this one, so carry on.
So the technology, yeah. So I think video games and mobile spherical video, those are the two places that you're really going to see it. And then the third, which is really just a niche application, is going to be installation type stuff. Those are the people like museums and installation artists. They're the people who are actually like most excited for VR, because they're kind of combining all of these different strengths of the medium, where it's like you're going to a place and, you know, so you're already physically in a context where you're willing to engage in perhaps unusual behaviors. So putting on a big helmet with a like inch thick umbilical coming out of the back of your head isn't that weird if you're at a museum and you're already in a place where you're doing something special. So in that context, museums and art galleries and art installations and stuff like that, they're able to do like really neat stuff. And then of course there's all of the like industrial applications, being able to guide a robot down a mine or whatever.
Did the person who clicked the link to this chess, are they some kind of genius, or am I just this bad? I'm so bad. All of my beliefs about chess are flashing before my eyes. God, so you said something about spherical video, and I remember my first interaction with. I happened to be friends with someone who wanted to develop for the Oculus right as it was coming out, so they got the dev kit one, and they brought it to my house, and I did the roller coaster one, and they said, stand up on one leg and do the thing, and see how you do it, and I felt so sick, and for about 24 hours I was car sick, and it was awful, and.
Now this is one of the big problems, is that VR, like a bad VR experience, will mess you up for like the rest of the day. I was intentionally, so I was playing Resident Evil 7, whatever the new one is. So I was playing the new one with the PlayStation VR headset, and I was like intentionally kind of trying to push it. So I was doing things like walking sideways, you know, like I was crab walking everywhere. I was constantly looking around. I was like strafing and like standing up and down a lot, physically moving myself around a lot more than they necessarily want, like rather than using the quick turn controls and whatnot. And I was able, like, they did a really good job with a lot of the sort of smoothing and like basically building the game in a way to try and keep you from behaving in ways that are going to make you sick. But after about 45 minutes of being a real dork about it, I did eventually like make myself sick, and I felt it for like the rest of the day. Like I had to get a full like 8 hours of sleep before it actually like went away. So that's going to be one of the biggest drawbacks, is that if you've got people pumping out like cheap, garbage, poorly made, poorly considered VR experiences, if that's what's happening right as people, like as ordinary people start actually getting their hands on the hardware, then you're going to get a lot of pushback against it, because people are going to try it out, they're going to get sick, and you know, they're going to be burned on it forever.
I'm just quickly checking what the fuck en passant is.
En passant is a way of pawn taking another pawn as they pass.
Oh, taking another pawn. Shit, so I can't do that. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm just going to do this. I think this is a smart move. But I think all of my moves are smart moves, so... What have I done? Yeah, I am really interested in Hover Junkers, the VR game where you control a thing with one of the sticks and then do a gun with the other. I like that. I like the way you're controlling a thing which is a physical construction that you can then move around, and you don't have to feel... It gets rid of the fear of, like, how do you feel like you're moving to another place when you can't really go that far, and they do it by saying, well, you're in this vehicle. But the vehicle is a physical space that moves. That's really clever, and I wanted to play that, but the multiplayer will be dead by the time I have any kind of VR stuff going.
Yeah, those are the ones, like, you're going to see that metaphor used a lot by smart VR games, because it's really easy for people to adapt to new movement manners if you're wrapping it in this presentation of, like, you're in a vehicle of some kind, you're in a tank, you're in a robot suit, you're in, like, whatever, just something to kind of explain why you're not standing up and moving around. And the moment you do that it's like you're in a car, you're in, you know, you're in a spaceship, you're in whatever. The moment you do that, people become a lot more comfortable with the idea of, like, sitting around and using controls to move themselves. I have done a couple full room VR experiences, and the problem there is, like, just the sheer volume of space. And this kind of goes back to, like, why installations and stuff are gonna latch onto it a lot better than home, is that, you know, think about the biggest room in your house and how small it actually is if you want to try to map a, like, first-person shooter level onto it. You know, I did this full room VR experience that was the Rick and Morty one, and the experience was just Rick's garage, and even then, the garage had to be segmented into 4 smaller sections that you then moved around using a special command on the controllers. So you had to teleport between the 4 quadrants of the garage, and that's that's a really, if you think about it in game terms, like that's a really small space.
Yeah. The idea of having to teleport to like between a really
one side of a garage
area?
and the other. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
I've got some questions in the chat. Condor asks, was Bloodborne not working? It was. Oh fuck! I just completely fucked up. No, wait, no, I didn't just lose a piece. The queen just moved to a place. No, I'm just an idiot. No, they asked, was Bloodborne not working? No, this was just a chess hangout thing. This is just what I felt like doing today. Johan O'Connor asks, heard that H-Bomber Guy edited the videos for the School of Life on YouTube. True/false? Well, I worked on some of them. I'm thanked in the credits of one of the ones I worked on, but I worked on several. And then I worked on one, and then all of my footage got replaced because the guy who normally does them realised he could do it better, basically. And then afterwards, what happened? Like recently, there's one about Victorian pornography that I'm in. Not because I'm in Victorian pornography, although that would be pretty cool if like a time traveling version of me was. Anyway, so where I contributed photos of myself looking very worried that were inserted into it. So I get on quite well with the guy who makes most of them, and I made a few myself. But School of Life videos about philosophy. I worked on a couple of them. Check it out. They're pretty cool. Voiceover by Alain de Botton, English philosopher who's very good at summing up other philosophers in a very nice way, and also maybe he has his own ideas. I mean, maybe, I don't know. He technically was my boss. I probably should try and sound a bit like I like him more, but he's pretty cool. I do like him. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. Queen to a6. People are saying. People are giving me tips, and unfortunately, the queen to a6 was what I was planning on doing. I was going to move the queen there, but I'm not that smart, and now I feel bad because it is like I just took help from the chat. I'm scared. Help
so
me down.
There's actually, I want to talk about. There's one VR thing that I actually really want to talk about because this was really, really cool. So there was a museum installation in Montreal where what they did is, so everybody. You could only have like 5 participants at a time, and then everybody would come in and they would pick up their VR headset and put it on. And so then when you put the headset on, what you would see was basically mapped to the room that you were in. So you would go in this room and there would be things like, it's like, okay, well, there's a couple like pillars, just like display pillars and whatnot, and otherwise it's just a big kind of empty, dimly lit room. And then you put the headset on and the room gets remapped into an environment. So the pillars that were just standing around now have virtual objects on them, and the walls look different, and all this stuff. So you needed to be careful of your umbilical, but you could move around the space, and if you reached out to like touch a virtual wall, you would hit the physical wall, and so the virtual space you were in mapped to the physical space that you were in, and they could then go through this whole presentation where like it would change what they were. If it would change subjects, it would change everything about the room. Like the environment that you were in would change to match what they were talking about. And it was kind of this like, it was just kind of this presentation of like, the history of the Earth. So it was like dinosaurs through whatnot. And so like on the stands, it'd be like, here's a dinosaur egg, and now here's, an ancient clay pot. Now here's porcelain, whatever, things like that. And that was really cool. And those kinds of things, like, I think you're going to see stuff like that a lot more. So I'm glad the technology's here, even if it doesn't become a consumer technology. The technology itself is going to stay around and is going to continue to gain penetration, even if it's in very specialized fields for the next 20 years. Just kind of the same as okay, well, touch screens have been around since the 70s, and they didn't really become a consumer thing, and that comes down to cost and manufacturing and whatnot. But
now I feel like there's a really obvious good move. I'm just checking to see if it is in fact a real move And I'm not about to completely fuck myself. Oh, no, that was a good move. I'm needlessly proud of that.
What time? Dan lives in Mountain Time.
It's 21:49 here.
It's 15:49 here.
Nice.
So I think I'm like GMT -7, something like that.
Either my stream froze or no, I just held my arms up like that for like 10 whole seconds. Wow.
That's just you.
Sean, continue your stream. Stop watching H-Bomb. Wow. Sean, I challenge you to play chess with me. This could have been you. Wait, I just realised that I can't actually... I thought I'd made a really good move here, because now the queen can go in all these different directions, but none of them are smart directions to take. So I'm just... Okay. I hope people get the reference, but... I forgot what it's called. No. I was going to make a joke where I call something someone's Gambit, where the someone is the name of the character, of the X-Man whose name is Gambit, but I forgot it. It's like Remy... DeBeau?
Remy?
Remy DeBeau. Is it Remy DeBeau? Remy DeBeau. No. Remy Gambit. What's his name? Remy LeBeau. Damn it!
LeBeau. There
Remy
you go.
LeBeau, yeah.
Geology is cool. Ask Dan what he thinks of living in the same province as Davis Aruni, please and thanks. So you need to ask me what I think of living in the same province as Davis.
What do you think of living in the same province Davis used to live in before he moved to Vegas?
Used to live in before he illegally immigrated to Las Vegas.
Legally or illegally?
Illegally.
Wow, he's an illegal immigrant. Someone called the ICE.
Oh, I'm almost certain that he just went down on vacation and stayed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
What, you think, does Davis strike you as the kind of guy who's going to apply for a visa?
He seems like the kind of person who doesn't believe in visas.
Yeah, exactly.
For white people.
You know, so... no, it gets even better because we actually live in the same, or the same city. And so if you have seen his seminal masterpiece, Lust in a Time of Heartache,
yeah,
you know, I know most of the locations that was shot in. I have actually used several of them because they're like really popular shooting spots around town. The guy who comes out and so there's a dude chatting with a lady, and then another dude comes out and hey, why are you talking my girl? And so the guy who comes out, his name's Cengiz Savari. He's a really active character actor here in town, and I've worked with him on a dozen different shoots at this point. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, no, it's I totally understand why Alberta has because it's the honey badgers are also from around here.
Yeah.
Men's Rights Edmonton, you know, so what's his name? Duckface. That dude, he's from Edmonton.
People keep telling me to move the queen to places where I know the horsey would take it, and that's his name, the horsey. Possibly the what, I don't know. What's the other name for the horse?
The knight?
No, that's too obvious. I
You
need a good
knight?
joke name for the horse.
The
Equestrian?
Equestrian. What's that?
The equestrian
Dressage. No. I was thinking dressage. That horse dancing.
Gymkhana?
Gymkhana.
The gymkhana. Oh god.
Oh, right. Okay, so the honey badger lawsuit. I've been meaning to look that up. I was going to go because it was a public courtroom. I was going to go, but I had a migraine that day. It was back on the 11th, and Yeah, I like woke up
jeez.
that morning. Like I set an alarm and everything to go down to the courthouse, and I woke up that morning and like I could.
I'm starting to realize that the
just
person I'm playing
light
against has made a
touching
couple
my
of smart
skin was,
moves
like,
when I've been really dumb,
painful.
but that they also have made some mistakes that I could capitalize on, unless this is all some kind of genius plan to make me take their fucking guy. Okay, now what? I don't know what.
Oh wait, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking it up. The so I didn't really miss anything at the last one because it turns out really all they did was set a court date for the trial against Mary Sue for November 29th. So this fall.
There is a smart way out of the problem I'm having right now, and I do not know what it is. Shit. I'm bad at chess. Sorry, I keep thinking, oh, I should add something to the chat, but then Dan's got this thing to say, and I should let him talk. But now's an opening. Tell Dan to stop saying penetration. It's funny when you say it. It's fine.
It is funny when I say penetration. The thing is that that's actually a word that, like, that's an industry word that we use in that context. We'll say this, like, okay, what's our expected penetration on this ad campaign?
And Condor asks, how do you find the picture-perfect lunatics for your videos? The answer is, you Google cultural Marxism is real, and then I found out about Davis Arini from We Hunted the Mammoth, I think, or I think something else, and then they found about them from there as well, and something like that.
How did I first become aware of him? I think I had run into a couple of his things before Lust in a Time of Heartache, but Lust in a Time of Heartache was really when Davis first really popped onto my...
Yeah, that movie has the pitch-perfect example of a phenomenon you explain, the problem with the jump cut, where it cuts to a very slightly different angle of the same events, and it's like...
Yeah, where it's clearly meant to be a new... it's clearly meant to be a new shot, but it's just not different enough.
Yeah. Like, we didn't have anything to put here, sorry. I'm trying to figure out a way to not lose this guy, but I think I've completely ruined everything. Hold on, I could just put him there, right? And then if they're feeling charitable... Yeah, sure. Oh, but then I'll be in check and then I'll be completely fucked. Oh, I fucked this up.
So, backing up a bit to Rift's Promise of Power, the game received generally favorable reviews, according to Metacritic.
Ah. On the N-Gage?
Okay.
Thad Ex Machina asks, H-Bomb, is Prelapsarian your favourite word? It's my favourite way of sounding like I know what I'm talking about.
Great word, though.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just... It's so clean. I do like using it a lot. I once... I had a section in, I think, a Davis Arini video where I referred to, like, the part in the Bible, the mysterious land of Prelapse area or something. But I thought, I've used that word too much recently. I need to use it less. I'll keep that in mind. I now know someone who watches my streams has noticed that I use that word a lot, so now I have to move on. Oh, special thanks to Devil Thunder, who just, like, noticed I was streaming and bothered to be the mod that I made them. So, that's really cool. I'm glad they did that. I'm super glad that I have
so Rift's Promise of Power got a 75 on Metacritic based on 6 reviews. Users with a total of 7 votes gave it a 9.8.
Jeez. That's pretty good.
Actually, it sounds like it. Quite simply, a game created by fans. Backbone have done a terrific job creating one of the best games set on the Nokia platform. Yeah, that wasn't. That's a low bar. It's by no means going to be the next big thing in gaming, but if you're an N-Gage owning RPG fan, then I can't think of any reason not to get this game. There's a lot of caveats on all of this praise. At this stage of the platform's life, any decent new game should be considered a pleasant surprise.
A pleasant surprise. The latest Nokia phone game is not a flaming pile of just garbage.
If you own an N-Gage, you really should have this. You really should have this game in your collection. Oh man, even all of these like super positive reviews are basically just like, it's for the N-Gage.
If you own an N-Gage, you should probably have this one game that works.
Yeah. It won't be everyone's speed, but it shouldn't be, as it has a technical focus.
Pussy Lord says, get a quieter keyboard. No. Okay, look. This is a very special and good and important keyboard. Look at it. Just look at it, okay? It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's important to me that I have the loudest possible keyboard. I bought one of these for my girlfriend, and her work won't let her use it. It's too distracting. It's a Miami key set. It's blue and pink. It's nice.
Oh good, I'm able to find a Let's Play of Rift's Promise of Power.
Oh right.
On the Nokia N-Gage. I'm gonna watch that later.
Where did all of my pieces go? God, I'm so bad at this fucking game.
Where'd all the what's go?
All of my pieces.
They were probably taken by your opponent.
Yeah. God. That was cold.
Just a guess.
Jeez, man. Thought you were on my side.
Which side are you? Are you,
I'm white.
You're white. Okay.
Yeah. And I picked random, okay? Apparently I'm just -1, but we'll see.
You've got 10 spectators just watching
the stream.
The game.
The game, rather, yeah. It's riveted. It's heating up. I don't know what I'm going to do now, because I hadn't planned on him making the smart move. I have no workarounds for this. Liquid Snake says, please watch Call of Duty. I have to cover Call of Duty esports this weekend. It's awful. Save me from this hell. Sorry. No. God, I need to play Titanfall 2. I've heard really good things about it.
Have I not done enough Call of Duty for all of you?
Oh,
Are you not? Have you not been amused?
I think your Call of Duty streams, you did them right before you hit the apex of popularity.
I really did.
So you need to do them all again now, just to...
I kind of do. Actually, let me go. All right, if my streaming folder, I managed to save. I have a 16 gig Black Ops 2 stream. I have Call of Duty Ghosts, which is broken up into like a whole bunch of different files because the game kept crashing and like hard locking my computer, so the stream kept starting over.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, Ghosts was awful. There's a 12 gig Advanced Warfare stream. Then Spec Ops, Police Quest, Dishonored, Mass Effect, Call of Duty, something, I don't know, that's a 6 gig stream. And then I didn't bother saving the streams for a long period of time until Doom, Ico, YouTuber's Life, Shadow of the Colossus, God of War 2. That's one of the big things that the biggest reason for moving over to YouTube was really just, it's like, now I don't need to, like, actively save my stuff.
I keep looking over at the chat and I'm trying to read the good comments and quote them on their questions, but I also have to look away whenever they're like very clearly advice that I know I wouldn't think to do. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I haven't done. So I did Black Ops 2, Ghosts, Advanced Warfare. So basically, I saved the last 3 in my original playthroughs of the Call of Duty series. At least I think this one that's just called Call of Duty, I suspect is.
Oh fuck. I looked away to type something to my girlfriend, and I looked back and the Queen had completely destroyed me. So I think this is it. I think if I don't move my king, I'm dead. Unless I somehow win with magic. Have I just made a clever move? Maybe? No, I haven't.
I've got funny lighting set up in this. I think this might actually have been my first Call of Duty playthrough. It's just numbered weird in my folders because of, I don't know, reasons. It's also an FLV file. I should actually transcode that into something actually useful.
It's from the days where you would record your stream as an FLV.
Yeah.
Because of course.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy thinks he can fucking sleep on me. He thinks he can get me with his fucking bits. But I'm not gonna let him. I'm gonna get him first. Am I? No, I'm fucked. I'm definitely legit fucked.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All chess games need a flip table and leave button, says Kevin. Yes, unfortunately, we do not live in that universe. Where this one doesn't have the flip table button. It just has the lose. But don't worry, I lost on purpose. Because that's how good I am.
You could trade queens.
I did. It's
oh
over.
yeah.
We've queened.
Right, I guess I'm behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically I would just try and race your pawns and hopefully you can get one to...
It's time to play some pawn racing. I can't move that one. Go, man, go. Chess is the new counterculture, says William Mumford. Oh, you little fucker.
Now this is pawn racing. I approve of that.
You're not allowed to make good jokes like that when I'm losing. Was that from the chat?
I stole that from the chat. Someone in the chat said that, and that was...
Part of me wants to create a queen just to have done it in a chess match, but I know it's over.
Oh, this is great. He's got his knight in a position where your pawn will get there, and then...
Yeah, so I can become queen. Be
immediately taken?
Yeah, which is how politics works.
Yeah.
Oh, you little fucker. Oh, this guy's a genius! God! You think chess just has 2 dimensions, but then, fucking, he's gonna take me with his king, with the piece that you're supposed to take. Disgusting. This is horrible. This is a living nightmare.
If he moves his king down, like he's got a... Oh wait, no, see, he's got enough leeway that he can move that king into a position that your pawn won't be able to take him.
The time it would take to set up a proper defense of the thing, to do the thing I want to do, he'll raise his pawn and destroy me. Fuck. That's so clever. How did I not think... Man, this chess game's pretty good. Next game though, I'll know how the pieces move.
Basically, like I don't know, he might do something dumb like use his knight to take that pawn. Oh no, he's just gonna move it there to block.
Oh, now you fucked up. No wait, that doesn't change anything. Oh well.
No, because actually now you're because now you move your pawn forward. You're the other one. All right.
Yeah.
Right, I'm behind. But if you move the one, all right, I'm gonna stop talking because I'm reacting to something that's 10 seconds ago.
No, he's too clever. He's outmoved. He's gonna beat me in 5 moves because I'm gonna move this piece here. He's gonna take maybe, and then I can move this piece forward. But then horse can take, and then can take the piece that when I try and move that one up, which is the obvious only other move I would make. So basically, I'm fucked. Unless I do something really dumb, like... Yeah, sure. I'm gonna move my king. Why not?
Why not?
Oh fuck! It's no. This.
You might as well try for the. All right, if I can't use an actual strategy, I will try to throw my opponent off by
by making them ask
chaos.
why I'm doing that move.
It's like when professional soldiers face off against like untrained just psychos.
Yeah.
It's like they're not behaving rationally. They're gonna make all kinds of stupid moves that it's like no one would ever do that. That would be suicide. And then they'll do it because they don't know it's suicide.
I knew we'd be safe in the Desert of Doom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the theory I always had with fighting games was I'm an amateur, which means my moves will confound these geniuses and I'm fucked.
That does not work in
and
a lot of... Yeah.
So in actual fighting game practices, it means you're dead because they actually can plan for people who are bad at the game because that's actually their whole job. So... is to exploit at that level of fighting games. It's just like, no. All we do is play perfectly and watch for the other person to screw up. And so if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to screw up instantly. I mean, also, fighting games definitely have the advantage of existing in a space where there really are a limited number of viable actions. Like you can only do things that the computer has been programmed to do. HP Makai versus Kasparov. You literally just gave him checkmate. Yeah, I know, it's over. It's over, guys. I'm dead.
He's gonna...
Yeah.
He's...
Yeah. Well, in my defense, I am playing against literally the best in the world there. Yeah, I gave you checkmate. Oh no, wait, that isn't checkmate, because if you slid that over, I'd have taken it.
No, he's gonna...
He's gonna
get his queen, because at this point, why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Please just do the thing. Oh no, wait, that's a bad move.
There you go. Now...
Yeah. I keep accidentally not giving him checkmate. Oh no, that's checkmate, isn't it? Oh no, there's more moves I could have made. What is this? I keep accidentally not giving him the game. Oh, should I actually just press surrender? Shit. Yeah. No, I'll just let him beat me. I was trying to give him the game. I wasn't trying to make it keep going. People keep calling me a beautiful giraffe, and I'm glad that people can appreciate me in spite of my long neck reveal. It's like a face reveal, but not. I'm not trying to draw this out. I'm just making the only moves I have left. You need to stop me.
On Twitter, Beautiful Bird Bard says, shout out to H. Bomber Guy and Foldable Human for inflicting the phrase eject a genetic package upon me.
Yeah. Roosh is great because he's like, you get to the actual sex part in the book, and he's like, sex is about a rod. I don't know why. It's just, I can't. You'd expect there to be some kind of reward for that lifestyle, like, oh, he likes having sex and has found a way to have a lot of it. That's at least understandable, but it's not even that. He doesn't even like that. So, what is there? Please just take me, please.
Yeah, no, like they. I think that was my favorite part of the video watching it last night. Is just when it gets to, it's like, yeah, like not only are these guys emotionally miserable, they're not even having good sex.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Like, so it's paying off for them in zero ways. In fact, the kind of like zaniest part, back when I was regularly like monitoring Red Pill, like the Red Pill subreddit,
yeah,
was you would get all of these like new posters, like new guys coming in who would be like, yo man, so I got red pilled like a couple months ago, and I started using game on my girlfriend, and now she's like breaking up with me.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And it's like, wait, so you had and the stories will always be like super complex, like, oh man, you know, we've been together for like 3 years and things have always been great, and like, you know, the sex has been pretty good, but like I wanted this one thing that she wasn't willing to do, and so I started using game, and they basically destroyed their relationship because their girlfriend wouldn't give him a blowjob.
Jeez, wow. That sounds about right. Like, that's the thing that you notice with like Matt Forney, where he describes in the How to Crush a Girl's Self-Esteem article, like, here's how to own this person, when the story he tells in which it worked is of a girl who he isn't with
It does
anymore.
not actually work.
Like, yeah, it didn't work. It's a huge shame, because you can see, like, you would have to be really, really sad to even reach a point in your life where you think this is what you need to do to achieve happiness or something. Like, I think the most telling part of there's an interview with Neil Strauss, and in it they ask Strauss, so do you think people this way of life can make people have a more dim view of women? And Strauss basically says, no, you need to start that way. And yeah. I think that's about right. Roosh thinks he was a nice guy to start off with, when very clearly he
was not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he did what he
was
thought.
Already an asshole.
Yeah, I expected to be rewarded with sex, and I was a nice guy, and I didn't get it, and then I was angry. You weren't very nice. I'm sorry.
You weren't a nice guy.
Yeah, the trick is to not expect
anything. I was
anything.
a nice guy, but now I'm a mean guy because my nice guy didn't pay off with booty, and it's like, okay, so you weren't a nice guy.
Yeah, I was a nice guy for sex once. Now I'm a real piece of shit. I fucking love Twizzlers. When my girlfriend comes over to visit, that
is a very sexist way to talk about these bitches.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask her to bring a whole bunch of Twizzlers and red vines. I'm gonna turn my girlfriend into a
have you been checkmated yet? Is this game over?
I resigned. I got sick of only having one move left to make and not being able to be mated. So, okay. Okay. Alright, so I think the time has come to play around with someone who's also good at chess. As good as me, come on. Wait. The Spectre Haunting Europe writes, red vines are in Tesco's. What? What time does Tesco's close? Shh. That was a really dumb joke. I'm just
Morgan's in chat talking about how it's not actually about sex, it's about power. And of course, like we know that. Like, yeah, it really is about their own sense of inadequacy and lording power over another person. And like, there's something particularly just deeply sad about it when their whole thing, like, it's not even yielding anything meaningful. That it's like they're not even getting like short-term gratification out of it. That it's like, why is the like microscopic power trip actually in some way, shape, or form worth it? And I don't think it is. Like, I don't, like, I really don't think it is worth it, even to them, that it's just it's a scenario that you kind of get yourself trapped in, for, like, once you're in that environment and that mindset, escaping it is really difficult, because they use, like, the whole PUA red pill community uses brainwashing techniques in order, like, on each other constantly. It's this self-reinforcement, but it's a reinforcement of like an entire worldview. So it's not just that you think, you know, it's not just that you have this like way, this method of engaging with women that is not particularly like productive. It's that you've established an entire underlying philosophy of why you should engage with women using that method. And that's the really dangerous part, is that it's not just bad technique, it's bad philosophy that informs bad technique. And that's what makes it so hard to escape and so long lasting, even if it's not yielding anything, any meaningful results or even any rewarding results, is that it's like that when that's your view of reality, when that's your eschatology, you know, it's really, really difficult to break away from that, because in order to get out, you now need to like reconsider your internal construction of the entire universe, the rules that reality operates under. So, yeah. Yeah. So, LZ Epsilon. That's a great comparison. How Fred Clark's writing on Left Behind, that Left Behind is bad writing born from bad theology. That the underlying bad theology, the underlying bad view of the world, is what led to Left Behind being in turn so insidiously terrible. That even, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Left Behind is so poorly written that even if the theology weren't awful, it would still be like just terrible books. But yeah, it's the bad philosophy that ultimately takes something from just being like crappy writing into being something actively harmful.
I came back. Okay. I'm going to create a new game of the chess. Wait, play with a friend. Random side, okay? I did not pick white. I'm not one of those people who picks the good team that starts first. Okay. Again, I'm just going to randomly post this. Nice. Alright. Who's this? Oh, it's another anonymous. Great. Some people have actual accounts with names, and I'm glad I'm not encountering any of them because they probably are good at chess. Am I white again? Jeez.
Quanta Starfire. I'm glad you like the story. Actually, there's parts that got trimmed or that I left out. One part that I wish I had actually expanded on more was just how much they started treating it like a spy game on the forums. That like they were giving each other advice on like how to root out infiltrators, and the whole thing about like setting up code words and trying to figure out like what those code words should be was incredibly elaborate, and they're like they were arguing with each other for like weeks on like what should the code word be. It's like you need it should be something like someone would suggest something like it's like the duck squawks at midnight, and someone would be like, no, that's a bad one because that's like too obvious and people are going to know you're talking in code. You need to do something like this. And then people would be like, no, that one just sounds like something that someone would like normally say, like, it's like, hey, what time is it? It's like, that's a really bad code word. And they had all this back and forth about like what the code words should be.
Yeah, the code should be as a former spy, the code should be an obvious normal question that the person can then give a weird response to that then you'd know, because that means otherwise you're just asking a person what time it is. That's the I read a bunch of spy manuals at some point in my life. A bunch of like really old spy documents got out giving people advice and stuff, and there's some really great stuff in there. There's like this Swiss one that was like, okay, here's all the different bits of the body that if you cut it, this is how long they will live. And it's like, fuck! They just put this in a book!
But yeah, it's like the sign should be an innocuous question. The countersign should be the one that's really distinct. What time is it? Too early for the train. It's like,
yeah.
And if,
Plus,
but even then, like,
is this the place was an okay-ish question.
This is missing, like, even just the biggest point, which is that they're playing spy over their stupid little fan club meetup.
Yeah, that was something I tried to elaborate on a little bit, having you in your spy outfit, but like, it is crazy how that's their entire belief system summarized. It's they want to feel like they're part of this really cool revolution, and the revolution is let's meet up to talk about the women. And
I mean, we saw it so much with Gamergate too, that it's like the moment people would start pointing out that it's like, hey, you assholes are planning your stuff in public forums, they'd be like, it's like, oh, well, we're gonna move to the private forum, and the private forum password is going to be it's going to be a sex number. Yeah, the SJWs will never figure that one out. It's like 69. The password is 69.
It's the only sex number, really. All the other ones are fake.
God damn it!
How did they figure out?
This out? Who told them? Like,
how did they figure out the password was weed? Help. That's one thing that I always
Operation Enduring dang it, what's a Warhammer name?
Did I just fucking lose an
Enduring Warhammer?
No. Okay.
Who knows, whatever, but it's like they immediately started playing like Army Boy and Spy Kid. But yeah, just that underlying, need. I mean, I can empathize with it. That need to feel like you're involved with something meaningful. I can empathize with that, and it would be somewhere between cute and tragic if it weren't causing actual harm.
Yeah, that's the thing is, this does affect people. And that's the difficult thing. Like, I wanted the video to be funny, and I realized the video ends on the downer of, oh no, these people are trapped. Like, they can't quit this because what else do they fucking have? Roosh's microbiology bachelor's that he got in like 2003 isn't worth anything today. Like, what's left? At this point, even if he hates it, he has to carry on, and that's really sad in its own way, even though I have no sympathy. People are commenting about how bad I am at chess in the chat, and all I can say
Warhammer is a great satire on fascism and masculinity. No.
The thing about Warhammer 40k is, it very most certainly maybe began as a parody of Warhammer, but then became the most popular Warhammer property, and in doing that ceased to be a Like this is what one of the things, like I have a very specific definition of satire because of this problem of like, well, does something cease to be satirical because hundreds of people jumped on it? You know,
it authentically.
Yeah, like there's the key two examples I always use of British culture are there's the pub landlord, who is an ironic parody of the pub landlord persona. Like the joke is that this is a man who is just being racist in a way he doesn't realize is the case. But the people who love the pub landlord are people who sympathise with the views of that parody character. And the other one is Ali G. You know, I grew up in a fairly working class area. People embraced him and his terms and his persona as if it was real, as if it was and that
because he's hilarious, he's charming, he's charismatic.
In his own way.
In his own way, like, yeah. But you know, I mean, I casually just quoted him like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I think the question that raises is, does that make the potential of that material to be making a deeper point about those worldviews go away just because there's people embrace it, or does it even say even more that people looked at it and went, yes, I agree with this parody, you know? That's something I think about far more than I probably should, but wait, I just made a move in order to try and take a horse that is my horse.
Like, I think anything, like, particularly if we're going to talk about, like, Sacha Baron Cohen's output, I think most of the stuff that he does, like, it's a mixed bag. Like, he approaches pretty much everything as, like, he's just going to throw everything against the wall. And so you end up with some stuff, like, I mean, I think that line, that's a very sexist way to talk about these bitches.
Yeah.
Like, that line is just perfect.
It is, yeah.
But then, like, not everything lands that well.
That's right.
I mean, and that's just the nature of that's kind of just the nature of the beast.
The other big one, of course, is Borat, where I feel like Borat fails because I think the point it's making isn't as good as it could be. Like I cited the scene where with the running of the Jew. As like, this could function as a really good satire of like fascist propaganda, where like, look, this is a ridiculous thing, but the reality is it's actually making fun of people who live in Kazakhstan for their racism by amping it up, and that's like,
yeah,
like, I get it, people in that culture might be racist towards Jewish people, but I don't get what's particularly funny about making it, like, about laughing at, you know, attitudes that already exist. Like, I don't know. I do wonder about how the people of Kazakhstan feel about Borat, and usually when I check, it's like, this isn't accurate. Most people try to be nice everywhere, you know? As someone who was raised in Russia for a while, it's fairly dead on satire. Okay. Well, Chris Purington says it's fairly accurate as satire, and that's pretty cool. I guess that makes it better. Chat moving so fast, no one will know I bought every single one of Rushvi's books. I read it out loud now. Sorry. I'm really having some trouble.
It's funny, chat moving so fast, and then like chat like paused for a good 10 seconds there right after that line went out.
Yeah. I love that when you say you intend to say something to get passed over quickly, and then it gets and then
it
like, the
lines
conversation
up with
dies out.
Just taking a breather.
Yeah. Good stuff. What am I doing? What are the moves that I can do here that are good? Oh fuck, I just realized what they're trying to do. I'm an idiot. How did I not notice that immediately? Fuck you.
I'll be right back.
They were going to take my castle the whole time. I'm an idiot. H1 my guy, is you dick wet? It's you cock. oh, that's clever, because that's a good thing. You know, I want the horse, but if I take the horsey, they get my fucking thing. That's clever. Chess amazes me, because I see these cool moves, I'm like, oh, I wish I was capable of thinking of that. That's really all I... You know, it's like Death Note, you know, you watch it and you're like, oh, it's the clever thing they thought of, and then you're like, oh no, it's fake. They made it all up. None of this is real. You can't kill people by writing their names in notebooks. I've tried. Until you cock is wet. That was... I woke up to a message from my girlfriend with just the words, until you cock is wet, and I thought, yep, she's seen it. Great. Now, what am I going to do about this fucking horsey? I need to go on the offensive. I'm just playing defensively and losing pieces, and it's bad. I need to do something clever and smart and good. But people know, you know, my output at this point is not so much of that. So, what? Can I just move the thing there? Is that a good move? I'm scared. I don't even know what a good move even looks like anymore. I haven't played chess in so long. I played it once drunk at a party when I was dressed as Colonel Sanders, unrelatedly, and lost every time, and it was awful.
Where are we at?
Ah!
Did you just make like a brutal mistake? What just happened?
I thought I'd made a clever move and they made an even cleverer one. Fuck. Fuck it. I got the horse too. I'm pretty happy with that. Now I just have to never ever move my king. Unless, of course, the king
Chat
can
has made
take
an accurate
pieces.
observation that every notebook is a death note, because if you write someone's name in a notebook, they will eventually die.
I have tried that. Well,
You just gotta wait long enough.
that's true.
Fate moves in its own way.
There's a really good joke though. You open up a black book with Death Note written on it, and you pull it open, and there's just one name written in it: capitalism. But that's not a thing. You can't kill an idea with a book. Okay, yeah, cool. The king can eat pieces. Gotcha. And it is eat, you know. The rich, they feast on the living. Did you know that the weapons used to kill vampires are all like low-class things, like wooden stakes and all of that? But the weapons used to kill werewolves, because werewolves represent the opposite thing, you know, the poor, the disgusting masses rising up. All the weapons used to kill
Silver
werewolves are
bullets.
extravagant bullshit, yeah, like silver bullets. Please. I think that's quite cool. I heard about that on the Let's Watch 2 Movies podcast, which is good. Everyone should watch it. Listen to it, rather. It's good. It's a podcast. Maddie Myers and Mary Ellen Murr watch 2 films that are thematically linked and then talk about them, and it's great. The last 2 ones are The Dark Knight and The Prestige, and they didn't like either of them, and it's great.
Interesting. No, you can't pet dogs in Breath of the Wild. I've heard that's a rumor. That's not a rumor. That's a like fake thing. It's fakeness. People are really disappointed. because you can't actually pet dogs in Breath of the Wild.
I just realised it's my turn. But I forgot who I am. Oh man, someone just gave me 50 krona and they didn't even say anything. They just gave it to me. Thank you. Thank you, Torbjorn Axnes. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I probably didn't. Guess how I know how to pronounce Torbjorn? That's right. It's from Star Wars.
Did you see the that post that was going around about the kid getting a note sent home because they called a classmate a Hanzo main, and the teacher's like, I don't know what that means, but it was clearly meant as an insult.
It's clearly racist. That's really great.
Yeah, it was. The one kid like takes the girl's pencil, and so she calls him a Hanzo main.
That's good. That's real good. I should just get real deep into Overwatch. I have played. I don't have a ranking in Overwatch. Piotr. I don't play it, but because I played so much TF2 as a kid, like literally thousands of hours, I feel like I could probably be very good at it, but I also know I could fall in and then never make videos again.
Yes.
And I kind of want to maybe make videos. So I have to choose my options wisely or something. What would going here do? You can hear my thought process.
Oh, did you see? Have you noticed anything with, or were you paying attention at all to the safe mode YouTube viewing? What's it called? Let me inform myself before I just start saying words. Restricted mode.
Oh yeah, YouTube, but for like incredibly child friendly.
Yeah,
basically.
And
it's bullshit. I forgot. I've just realised how much of YouTube relies on swearing or being slightly risque. I think the Killian Experience, who is just like this very kind of nice Swedish person, put up what their video list looks like under restricted mode, and they're, you know, the most nice YouTuber maybe outside of like Kim Justice, and it's like 4 videos. Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's a
mine mostly stay, but like a bunch of mine disappear in restricted mode. Some of them are the ones you'd expect, like, you know, everyone Batman kills in. It's like, all right, that one
murders, yeah.
Like that one kind of speaks for itself. All right. And what were some of the other, like, Morality of Shadow of the Colossus? Like that one disappears. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Triumph of the Will, I kind of get. Like, I understand how an automatic system would flag that one.
Yeah.
But then, like, the Suicide Squad ones, both of those stay. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I think the biggest problem is, as with most problems YouTube has, the opacity of it. That it's like, okay, how do you find out if one of your videos is restricted, and can you do anything about that? And the answer is luck and no. And the fact that, like, the algorithm does seem to be disproportionately hitting LGBT subjects, like, regardless of actual content or tone.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do find it, like, personally, like, in my heart, I find it hilarious that Sargon's channel vanishes entirely in restricted mode. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. The reality is, these are conversations that need to be had, and there are people who need to be visible within space.
Yeah.
Not just within spaces, just at all. And for them to just be completely eradicated because, it's too much for children, it's like treating this issue as if it doesn't exist for children is part of the problem. Like, ideas about gender are ingrained at, like, almost as soon as birth. These are things that it's worth thinking about, and it's not something that should just be denied to people simply on the basis of, well, some parents, they don't think LGBT people have a right to exist. And what about their kids? It's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, and on one hand, like, so YouTube is kind of defending it by insisting that it's an incredibly low, like, there's just a super low adoption rate for the feature, that, like, basically no one is using it, which of course raises the question of why have it. But it's like, okay, well, this is kind of our, like, this is our crumb out to the parents who homeschool their children if the teacher ever uses the word penis in front of the class. Like, oh, you were reading, you want the kids to read that devil book, Bridge to Terabithia?
More like Bridge to Hell, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, okay, is it just kind of a cookie out to those people? Maybe, but at the same time, like, should they get a cookie? And what about, like, and this is the big thing, is like, what about, like, public libraries or schools that decide that it's like, oh yeah, restricted mode, that's what we want. That makes sense as a thing to have enabled at the, like, administrative level within our network.
It is a ridiculously difficult question, because obviously there is some material that, like, maybe shouldn't be viewable in public spaces.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in a library, maybe you can't watch everything. Maybe you can't watch everything Batman kills. But how do you, like, it's actually one of those things where it is incredibly hard to police that system, unless the system is, like, actually really democratic or is run by a really robust team, and YouTube is neither of those things. I think one of the big things, or the trap that they wound up falling into with this, or what I would say is the trap they wound up falling into, is that they did not think through to the end using the systems that they already have. So we already have an age gating system on YouTube. Like, there's already voluntary age gating. Like, I can go into one of these things, and it's like, you go to the advanced settings, and it's enable age restriction. But the thing with that is that YouTube has kind of set it up to make that system not actually work properly, because enabling age restriction basically, like, automatically kills monetization for that video. So it's not just a scenario where it's like, where you can be just like, okay, I can enable age restriction, which will severely decrease the available ad revenue for that video, like that it's only going to get ads from companies that are, like, willing to show on age restricted videos, which would exist. Like, if you think about it, like, it's like Get Out, movie trailers in particular, like R-rated movies, they're going to advertise on age restricted videos. Like, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Like, they're actually probably going to see better performance on age restricted videos, because it's going to, actually, like, target their audience a little bit more accurately. But they don't have that. It's age restricted, removes monetization. So creators then have this incentive, like those who rely on ad revenue have an incentive to not age restrict their videos if at all possible. Which means that there's just kind of this environment of it's like, oh, well, you know, age restriction is for like if I want to put up something like softcore, if I've definitely got like, you know, I've definitely got titties in this, putting on the age restrictions so that my account doesn't get disabled.
Yeah, I think, gosh, I just want to point out the move that my opponent last made. I realized that was the move they were going to make, or that would have fucked me, right after I'd made my move, and now I feel like an idiot. But no, you're right. Like, it's a difficult one because you don't want to age restrict your stuff, even if it is a little out there, because then no one will watch it. Even adults might not want to bother to sign in.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's not anything that you would want to do.
So basically, like what they need to do, what they should have done instead, is they should have expanded the age restriction feature. They should have basically like and provided, you know, back end incentives for content creators to not just flag their new videos, but to go back through their backlog and be like, hey, what's kind of the target age group for this, or like where would you say the content is appropriate for? That it's like, this is for, you know, like teens and above, whatever, and then have restricted mode just kind of operate off of those. And that also then lets people who are turning on restricted mode, it lets them set the granularity of it. Like, hey, I'm setting restricted mode. I'm just basically turning the computer over to my, like, you know, my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old.
Yeah, and like granular tagging is a fantastic idea as well. Like, if you could go, you know, here is my, you know, here, or like even if there's a way of having user created tags where you can subscribe to my tagging system, whatever, so I can tag any video I want, and then you know that I've seen it and I've tagged it with this or something like that. So it's like I'm like, I'm getting around to the idea of like maybe it should be possible to opt out of having to see certain types of stuff. Like, let's say you really don't like watching videos that feature violence against animals, for example, which a lot of people are like that.
A lot of people don't. Yeah.
If you could like flip a switch and they don't show up, or they warn you, that would be really nice. Having a system where maybe a person could upload that and people who were watching could just tag it. You know, so when you go on the video, it says, oh, 500 people have said, you know, a dog dies in this. That would be really useful. And then you could also have this content is tagged as weird anti-feminism. You know, that would be really useful as well. I mean, I've tried to do that with the H-bomb censorship add-on, just as a way of people, you know, being able to opt out of seeing stupid bullshit just as a result of seeing my work. On that note, Geology is Cool asks, I want to start doing vids. I have a green bedsheet and opinions about queer hypermasculinity and other issues. Is it possible anybody will watch my stuff if I don't also make video game content? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. I hope your video finds the audience that it should have, but I don't know how to find an audience. I got incredibly lucky. People on Tumblr shared a video and that was it. So I don't know. I don't have a maybe, but
maybe
it's I think if you have things that you want to say, you should make it and say what you feel is worth saying, and even if no one watches it, at least you've made it. And I find that there is something therapeutic about making stuff even if no one says it, no one sees it.
Yeah.
That's certainly been my attitude behind making stuff for the last like 5 years was, oh, I'm just going to make this because I need to get it out of me, which is weird because a lot of my stuff is like Let's Plays, but like it felt valuable to me to make as an exercise, and it taught me everything I know about making stuff. So just make it.
The slightly more complex answer that I'd give is that, like, let's set aside the question of how do you find an audience and just go. We'll just assume that yes, you can find an audience. I don't think you need in that scenario. I don't think you also need video game content in order to make the first one true. Like I don't think that that's actually a like underlying requirement here. You know, you can definitely just create a focused channel, and it is possible to find an audience with a. Actually, I should say it's actually a little bit easier, air quote easier, to find a audience with a focused channel than it is with a general channel, unless you feel like you're just, you know, that charismatic a son of a bitch that like people are just gonna tune in to watch you hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, and that happens. I mean, I'm not that person, but
that does happen, yeah.
But that does happen. There are those people out there with their, like, you know, we often tag them as like inexplicably popular, but I mean, they're not inexplicably popular. They're charming people who, you know, people like to hang out and just watch them do stuff. I mean, think about how many like vlog channels there are, and even if I don't really watch that many vlog channels, like people like vlog channels.
Yeah, people like just, you know, people being interesting when doing normal things. That's quite nice. It's therapeutic.
So I think your bigger concern, like, rather than worrying about like, okay, how diverse does my content need to be? Like, do I need to cover my bases in terms of like, okay, well, here's some gender videos, and then here's some video game videos. I would think that if you're going into this from square one, really approach it in a super focused manner, and focus then, instead of on diversifying content types, focus on making one kind of content as good as you can get it. Like, get the production values as high as you can get. Spend as much time as you can on like working on the scripts. Spend as much time on your presentation. Like, you know, really try and come out of the gate swinging. Like on that first video, even if you end up doing that first script 3 times before you hit a version that you're actually like willing to post, because, you know, you did it once and then you watched it and you're like, I don't like my delivery, so you went back and redid it, and then you still didn't like your delivery, and each of those 2 times you learned something that informed the next attempt. You know, basically have like 3 failures with the same script before you even post something for the first time, and then, you know, kind of coming out of the gate swinging that way, it increases the likelihood that people are going to grab onto it sooner. Whereas, like, you know, you can definitely start out with the like, hey, you know what, I'm just a kid with a webcam, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's not bad, but, you know, you, at the same time, the market's saturated, and your the climb is just then that much longer. So this is then me echoing what Bomber said about really make sure that something about the process is feeding you emotionally, like that you're getting something out of it completely divorced from any perceptions of success. Like that if you're enjoying it, if you just have something that you want to say, if you've got like, hey, here's this subject that always comes up in conversations on Twitter or on forums, and I just kind of want to have my opinion about it written down in one place so that I can just link to it and be like, look, I made a video on this subject. Yeah. If that's kind of where, like, if it's doing that for you, then, you know, because all odds point to it's going to be a long climb. You know, because it kind of comes down to, it's like, all right, well, when are you going to get lucky? Like, I mean, I basically just got lucky this last winter.
Yeah.
Where it's like, after all, you know, 6.5 years of making videos, you know, I'd gained some minor popularity. Mostly I'd gained just kind of like known among other video makers. And then inexplicably, YouTube decides to like hyper promote one of my videos, and my subscriber base went up by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
Or actually by like, yeah. I don't even know what is the word for that, like, not quintupled. It didn't quintuple. It more than quintupled.
Yeah.
It double quintupled. It went up by 10. Like, you know, it went from 9,000 to 90,000. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
80,000 subscribers in 1 month. Like, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Like
But-
it was pretty intense. Like, but that happens if a thing you make like it just gets popular enough that YouTube says, well, now we have to share this in recommendations. Then
Yeah.
everyone sees it, and then it's like the way that you can just push yourself onto a shelf in which you become viewed by everyone is ridiculous. Like, YouTube as a
Yeah.
platform is inherently broken.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I'm glad that it finally worked in your favor. I'm a little bit jealous, but also I have spent the last 4 years thinking this guy deserves to be really popular, and weirdly isn't. So it's kind of nice as well.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like a payoff to a lot of hard work. Even though I know that I basically just won the algorithm lottery.
Yeah. Linchay says, H1, we made it more mods to keep an eye on this. Linchay should be a mod. Well, now they're a mod. Oh well. The goal of communism is to kill as many people as possible. Fogglesworth asked, who is H-Bomb talking to? I'm speaking to Dan Olson, also known as the Foldable Human. Are you... I've been meaning to ask this. Are you planning a return to using that puppet character, or are you sticking with your thing now?
I'm sticking with my personage. I have been, so people have been asking for a long time for like more puppet content, or if like the Foldy puppet is coming back. And I kind of miss using them, but for a variety of reasons, like they're not suitable to YouTube as a full-time shtick.
Yeah.
It worked really well for Blip and for when I was starting the show on Blip, in particular for me personally, because it's like, okay, I want to write these more complex pieces. I want to write essays. And they're going to be more difficult to actually like perform in front of a camera because it's precise wording, it's long sentences, it's complicated ideas. And so but I can't animate. Like I can't draw, I can't animate, and that's what a lot of people do for these kind of things. It's like, oh well, how do I keep myself off camera? You know, Jim Sterling just uses game footage for all except his intro and extro. A lot of people use an animated avatar. You know, there's a variety of solutions to it, and my solution was, well, I'll use a puppet, and that way I can just read off a script that's in front of me while I'm off camera.
Yeah. And it was also good for an era where we did, to in a word, people
you needed a gimmick, yeah. And that was the thing. Like, so it was a great like it was the right choice at the time. For a lot of reasons. Like, it helped with branding, it helped with gimmick, it helped to differentiate from others, and it helped me as a performer. But then with the move to YouTube, like with the Blip shutdown, the environment on YouTube is different. Like, in particular, because on YouTube, you're far more likely to get single video viewers, like people who are only going to see one thing. Whereas Blip, if people were engaging with you on Blip, they were inherently engaging with your content as a whole. And for that reason, gimmicks on YouTube tend to be, like, the more extreme they are, the more alienating they tend to be. So because of that, it was just... Also, I had some health problems at the time. I screwed up my shoulder, and I can't actually operate the puppet for long periods of time. Like, you got to keep in mind that, like, the time it takes me to record a video, like, particularly a full-length one, like something in the 15 to 20 minutes, is going to take 30, 40 minutes of actual, like, in front of the camera recording. Yeah. And that's for, like, one full, like, read-through of the script. And Foley isn't that heavy. He's only about a little over a pound, but I want you to take a pound and hold it in your hand over your head for 40 minutes and see how your shoulder feels at the end of that.
Yeah.
So it was just too hard on my shoulder. So what I'm doing now is I did it with the little devil puppet in the setup and payoff video. The basic cuts, the basic cuts video.
I was gonna say that puppet cameo is fantastic. Did you get? Yeah, the other.
Oh, and I got great. So that is how I'm going to be bringing the puppets back, because I've got a shelf full of them. I made all of these puppets for Folding Ideas. I made them for This Is Your New World Order, and they've just been sitting on a shelf for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I love my puppets, but I think using them for cameos, using them for skits, cutaways, for illustrations, is going to be a great way to use them. Is going to be a great callback for the longtime viewers. Yeah. It's going to let me use them, and it's not going to alienate people. It's going to feel a little bit more organic for one-time viewers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Who operated the puppet in the other?
I got Laura to do it.
Nice.
And then she did scratch track dialogue, and then I re-recorded the dialogue.
Jumped over it. That's great.
Yeah.
Man. For the people asking in the chat, this is My Chrysalis Highwayman. It's the theme that plays on the overworld in Fallout 2 when you fix the car. It's great. I made this the credits music in the Fallout 3 video. It's great. I love it. I found an hour cut on YouTube, and I've listened to it all sometimes. I at one point got halfway through a 10-hour mix of the song Forces from Berserk. But I stand by that. I stand by that 5-hour listening session, because the guy who did the music, Susumu Hirasawa? I'm not going to butcher his name. Also did a lot of music for Paprika, I can't pronounce the other foreign word. Good sound, man. At least that part of Berserk is good, Dan. Give me that part. The sound is good. Please.
Sure. I do find it funny. So Thermian Argument.
Yeah.
My little skit of orcs getting... Dang it, what's the fake title? Women getting ripped
apart by orcs, yeah.
What's really funny is so many people in the comments just hey, I really like Berserk. And I just found that hilarious, even though in my mind Berserk was not actually what I was thinking of.
You just made up an example name, but people were like, "Hey, I liked Berserk."
Hey, I liked Berserk. They just I intentionally avoided using a name, even though in my head I was actually my personal reference point was actually Claymore.
Oh yeah, Claymore.
Yeah. So that was what I had in my head was my personal reaction to Claymore, but I didn't want to mention anything in specific because it's okay, a lot of obvious reasons. I wanted it to be vague. I didn't want to get bogged down in people being well, in Berserk, there's a reason, or it's satire. It's no, I don't want to have that. So I made something that was intentionally just absurd.
Yeah, I think there's. I hate the idea that I'm accidentally making the Thermian argument when I think of myself as a long-time fan of Dan Olson, inventor of the Thermian argument. So, but, I do specifically like Berserk because I like some elements of the story, and I think perhaps the thing that it lacks is clarity in that story, where it is very bogged down by 80s and 90s storytelling elements, ultra-violence, and I feel those parts specifically can go. But that means that I dislike one of the core tenets of Berserk, which... So, I don't know. I think it's an interesting series. But,
yeah. But so I use that example, it's women getting ripped apart, and it really kind of tickled some part of me internally, how many people filled that gap with what they assumed I was talking about, and that what they saw in that Black Mirror was
Berserk. Yeah,
Berserk.
That is incredible. But
I'm well, hey, I don't know, deal with it.
Yeah, what's cool about Berserk, as a story, if you can get past its really stupid elements is that it's a really kind of, I think, satisfying complete story, and then another unrelated, much longer adventure happens. And I like that cutting off point. I like that the anime specifically engineered it so that everyone fucking canon is dead, and the character that saves them never even turns up. Like, I really like the arc that happens if you... Like, I'm a fan of stories that are adapted a lot, and then a portion of the story becomes about the fact the story has happened before. Mazinger Z has had so many different adaptations and versions that at this point, every adaptation is on some level about how nightmarish it is to be the main character in the Mazinger stories, because you will die over and over, and you'll never really win. So Shin Mazinger Z, the remake of the actual original Mazinger, begins with the last episode, and just this, it's an existential nightmare, and it's beautiful. And then it never got a sequel, so it is legit just a time loop of sadness, and I think that's really fantastic. But I think Shin Mazinger Zero is legit just that. Like, the character is actually trapped in a time loop trying to escape it and having weird flashbacks. What was the other one? Mazin Kaiser Skull is this incredibly, like, definitely over the top 90s thing that exists in this weird... I can't tell if it's making fun of Mazinger or just all of the 80s. I don't know. I like that kind of story where it's conscious of the canon in which it exists.
Skype's actually been freaking out for the last 2 minutes. You've sounded like you're underwater and really far away. I think the automatic volume adjust kicked in, but the parts that I heard sounded really passionate and well defended. So
great. Okay, I need to actually make a move and beat this person. Do I sound better now?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm trying to check. Because my audio interface sometimes messes up, and I just wanted to check in case people can hear. In case my actual stream audio is ruined, but.
Yeah, I'm assuming the chat. I'm assuming the stream feels fine. This is just Skype being Skype.
Yeah, Joey Jojo asks, has H Bomber Guy watched JoJo? Yes, in fact, as soon as I lose this chess game, I'm going to go watch JoJo or possibly other anime with my girlfriend. So there's that. But I think JoJo's really good, but at the same time it's bogged down with a lot of problems that, like, especially early in its run. It was very much... Before it had formed an identity, it had a lot of the problems that all anime from that time period have. I think that's kind of what makes it even more interesting, is how much it progressed. From kind of basically Fist of the North Star into... here are some happy boys having fun together in Japan. I like that.
So someone on Twitter suggested, and this is an idea that I'm increasingly entertaining the idea of. I've only done so April Fool's Day videos are really common for web series. A lot of people do them. A lot of my friends have done them. Some of them have done, like, very routinely, like consistently. They've consistently put out an April Fool's Day video, and I've only ever put out one, which was which actually never got reposted to YouTube because it was just like pure copyright violation beginning to end. But someone suggested that I do one using that character. Using that character. It's your boy D-Stacks here. To do a spirited defense of why Kratos is not a power fantasy.
But where did you get the name D-Stacks? Because there is a poster in the Internet Critic discussion thread on Something Awful who's called D-Stacks, and I was like, oh fuck, was that what? Where did you get the name?
No, so it's it's just so. I mean, because okay, my real name is Dan, and just it felt so right to like how I imagine a like C grade gaming YouTuber would just be just like, how am I going to come up with this? Like, hey man, it's Dan here. It's your boy D-Stack.
It's your boy, yeah.
It just sounded like something aesthetically that genre would like use. You know, that they're just that kind of a person, that kind of a YouTuber is just constantly making up new names for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, rapper style.
Hey guys, it's your boy Video Bastard.
Yeah, just whatever. So like it just felt right, and it felt so right that I'm like, no, I gotta use that. And I'm actually really pleased with how that little gag video turned out.
Yeah.
That little 30-second.
I liked it a lot. It's touching.
And someone mentioned that it's like, oh, you just nailed that Leafy impression. I'm like, I feel like I screwed it up, but at the same time, then I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe sounding like someone who's trying way too hard to sound like Leafy is in fact more authentic than if I had actually nailed it.
Yeah, you nailed that impression of a guy trying to do an impression of Leafy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh jeez, I'm getting completely fucked by this one horsey.
Oh yeah, that horse.
This horse is going to destroy my entire army. I'm dead.
It's broken through the ranks, and now it's just gonna rampage.
It's not the first time I've been fucked by a horse. I'm sorry. You shouldn't make that kind of joke. That's bad. It's bad for you. It's very unhealthy.
Really unhealthy.
Yeah. That guy died. I'm dead. I've lost this. I've catastrophically.
That horse is just gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're in.
I'm dead. I've been defeated now.
Is that's not mate? It's not checkmate.
But it's going to be. Okay, well, if someone takes my king, though, my horsey could... Oh, that's not how it works, is it? King CFC1.
A horse and a priest are ruining your day.
This is the saddest day. I'm enjoying these streams where it's just to hang out with, like, a simple game that I keep losing. Where we just talk about stuff. Jeez. Man. I wish I was good at video games. God. I almost bought a Switch for like £420.
That's absurd, man. Don't do it.
Yeah, but I didn't. So instead, I'll wait. But I have a video planned about the Switch, so I need to get one to do it.
I just watching a lot of the like footage of people playing Breath of the Wild actually kind of makes me like really want one.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a really fun game. I really hope he just moves his knight in a way to just take out your other knight. Like that he's just dedicating himself right now to eliminating your entire army while half of his army is still sitting in their original positions.
Yeah, I've significantly ruined this. At some I was doing alright for a bit, I think because I had sat there just talking and then stopped.
Come on, man, take the bait. Take the bait. Take his pawn with your king.
I can't. Yeah, there isn't anything I can take with the pawn. Oh, you want me to just go there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of on the money with guys like H3 or he, like the the guy has to make money to survive, especially because he's being sued still.
Yeah.
And so he's going to follow the trends, and it's going to... he has basically almost no choice because that's his career now. I feel like if I do... a point I want to hammer home is folks like PewDiePie and JonTron are grappling with the fact that there is no career for them. Like, they're realizing that even if they enjoy what they're doing now, they are going to be doing that forever, and that's really scary.
It's not extensible.
Yeah,
there's nowhere for it to grow.
Yeah, I'm a little bit.
And Felix, I was trying really hard to stress this to people on Twitter. That people, it's like, oh well, because I was getting people. It's like, yeah, well, he's gained more followers as a result of it. I'm like, so
yeah,
he has 53 million followers. You think he could gain another million and it won't mean anything to him. Like, more followers is useless to him as far as his like future prospects are concerned. Like, the only thing that is even remotely meaningful to Felix right now is essentially a way out, is like turning it into something else. And that's why losing the YouTube Red show is the thing that actually like really hurt him.
Because now he like that the show was at least a real thing.
Yeah.
Another like, I think that's
you can turn one reality show into another reality show, but
into
you can't
be a real personality.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
But it's like, he's not an actor.
Yeah, and like that's something I'm grappling with now because I've done this. I've like done this kind of time. I have other stuff, but I've done this for a year, and I've been lucky because I've approached it in a semi-academic fashion. I can talk about games in a way where I could theoretically write about it. Like, there's maybe a career move out of that for me, and I do sometimes think I like doing this, but how will I feel about this in 2 years, in 3 years? How will I feel when this is all I can do? Even if it's a decent living. That's a little bit scary, and I can see why I can see the progression to how these people get to this point. And it doesn't help that being incredibly rich for playing video games on the internet insulates you from real problems to a degree where maybe you start to think white nationalism is good. And that worries me that we're creating a community, or YouTube rather is like nurturing a system that creates these people. I don't know if that's healthy for them or good for society overall, if you want to get high concept with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good...
Please kill me.
I think YouTube is a little worried about that potentially as well. Yeah. Like, but not in those terms, not in necessarily the way that we would be, but that they are worried about extensibility.
Yeah.
Like outward growth, and I definitely know that Maker's worried about that. There's like, hey, if we don't have,
thank you,
a breakout hit of some kind or another, then what? Yeah.
It's worrying, and you can make there is the obvious leftist point of like this. Ultimately, people, this is all a result of economic anxiety, but there's also just the straightforward point that it's not. It's worrying, and I worry about it because partially I do see. I fear that could be my future. I doubt I'll ever be anywhere near as popular for that to become relevant, but I do worry about hitting that spot. I think, well, I have theoretically real qualifications I could be nurturing. I'm jealous of you, Dan. You seem to actually be doing that, and congrats. But like, I'm glad. Like, I published a couple of articles for sites, and I'm glad because those are theoretically good to have done. So if I decide I want out, I can do writing, something like that. So,
well, my long-term goal, obviously I've been doing this alongside either other industry work or personal building industry work. And I mean, I just had a meeting with like Kara and Steve the other day about a new thing that we're starting up.
Cool.
You know, and I'm gonna try to shoot I'm waiting for just a couple bits of news to come through before I actually like make this into like a real thing. But I'm hopefully going to be shooting a like documentary next month for the channel, which, you know, like I think that's for me probably the direction that I'm heading, is into doing more documentary work and like making documentaries.
Yeah.
Because it's something I want to do. And so all along, like for the last 7 years, that's kind of where it's been like, it's like, hey, I could turn this into documentary work, because it is basically in its own way documentary work, or turn it into like educational TV, or, you know, I could take the show, or I could take my work on the channel to CBC or whatever and like pitch them on a completely different thing. But like, hey, look, I can write and edit instruction, like educational material.
Yeah, something I briefly considered taking, really like trying to do was I kind of really wanted to direct an adaptation of the game Killing Floor. That was really important to me at a certain point in my life. That's about it. I don't have many life. I don't think far enough ahead to go any further than that. And I think I contacted them and said, will you sell me the rights to adapt it for not much money? And they said no. They said no. I'm sorry, how much is not much?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, so I ended up not doing that. But yeah, there is maybe like an insidious voice in my head that's like, yeah, this measured response stuff is good, but if the BBC can't, if they watch it, they'll be like, this guy's got a clearly far too left stance. You know, there is a voice in my head going, no, make this marketable, when that kind of isn't why I don't think that's why people like the thing I make. And also, yeah, why make it at all at that point? And then I think, well, then why make it at all? Why not just talk forever about video games? And I don't know, because I like doing I like doing
no, I mean at the same time, like Charlie Brooker's got a career.
Yeah, it's true. I think but he's Charlie Brooker.
He's Charlie. I mean, that's kind of always the thing. Is like you can point to someone who's the exception. It's like, well, they're the exception for the following reasons: right place, right time, good luck, nice hair, good teeth. Yeah.
Well, Charlie Brooker has terrible at all those things, but I mean, he got, you know, he didn't debunk someone.
He was right place, right time. I mean, he was working in news for like decades.
Yeah, I think I like I really like his stuff, and I want to be him. I'd take that, but you know, it's one of those, and that's really the difficulty is.
I think for a lot of people, the reticence is that, like, I mean, Felix is never going to move on to another property where he's not the center of it.
Yeah,
and he's honestly not qualified to do anything else. I mean, personally, I'm not super worried about the future, because I'm totally willing to do behind the scenes stuff. I'm willing to be DP on something. I'm willing to, like, work in the production office. Like if PBS called me up and was like, hey, we want you to move out to New York and we'll pay for you to move and you can live out here and be a producer on Idea Channel, I'd be like, sure.
Yeah, like that's...
Oh no, I'm never in front of the camera again, ever. Like, that's not a big deal to me. I'll still be working on the kind of thing that I want to be working on. Yeah,
when I was working on for School of Life and just doing editing stuff, that was really fun, because that's actually the thing I'm good at. I'm a charisma vacuum, you know. I'd take that in a heartbeat. Whereas I think, there's, alongside the fact that they don't have any marketable, like, check out my Let's Plays stuff, but they also want to be that personality. Like, there's... I have a hard time saying I empathize with JonTron, because I don't, but I do feel bad that there's no escape. Like, that sucks. In any case, Sarcomatus says, HBO eventually you'll have to make a song out of your Patreon shout-out thing. Actually, one of the future videos, I've tried to work the list of patrons into a set of lyrics, because that video is a song. But I'm not happy with the stuff I shot for it. I don't want to dye my hair again, and I don't know if I actually like the song. I think... but I also don't want to make the person who did the song redo it. So, I don't know. But, yeah, Dan, don't move to New York. It sucks.
I don't actually. I like visiting New York. I really like visiting New York. I don't want to move to New York.
Yeah. I can theoretically work anywhere doing this internet stuff, and that's nice, but figuring out how to get a visa to live in New York with my girlfriend it's nerve-wracking and terrifying. And I don't want to actually live in New York. I just want to live in a house in the woods, like I do. You can type my postcode into Just Eat, which is our version of Seamless or whatever, and nowhere delivers. No, there's one sandwich shop, but if you order something, they call you and say, no, we're not driving out to the fucking woods. Are you trying to rob us? It's... and I like that. I kind of like that distance, it's nice. But at the same time...
Oh God. Okay, Aaron. No, I don't care if JonTron is more successful. I don't care if he makes more money. Like this actually. Okay, this was the point that like really, really pissed me off in Total Biscuit's SoundCloud thing, is when he goes on about how it's like, oh, look at these journalists just taking a dig at someone who makes more money than him, and it's like,
you can feel bad for someone just because they're financially successful.
Is that ultimately like the thing that's important here? And it says so much about this cesspit corner of the internet that it's like, what does Total Biscuit actually care about? What's his marker of authority? And it's the fact that he and JonTron make more money than the people who write for Gizmodo.
And then he's arguing that if you make enough money, you're beyond reproach, which is the dark road to go down. And again, I think one
literally
reason why...
what he's saying is that JonTron should be above criticism from journalists because he makes more money than those journalists.
And I think a specific reason they're mad at journalists is because journalists have taken... game journalists have taken talking about games and made it into a career. There are communities of game journalists. You have marketable things that you can go, I did this, and people will hire you. And that's probably devastating for a person who's made their living in something that doesn't have that kind of transferability.
Yeah.
Where, JonTron can yell about Jews or go on a coke binge and not finish 10 of the videos he was supposed to make on a contract. Don't tell anyone I said that. And that fucks up his entire career because that's all he is. Whereas you could theoretically get fired from Gizmodo or Gizmondo Media Group or whatever and get a job at Porygon. Or, videogames.com. That's...
Vrax or Brazfeed or... Heck, even Gurdian.
Katuku? Hold on, do I still own Katuku.com? Yes, I do, and it's still blank. Okay. Please don't hack Katuku.com.
But there's a transferability to it. Like, it's that whole thing of like, okay, working for yourself versus working for someone else. That I try to stress to people, like, how important it is to actually get a job doing what you like for someone else.
Yeah,
doing it for yourself is great, but if you can say, I was able to convince this other even if it's a lower tier position, that it's like you're not producer, you're not the sole creative voice of the thing. If you're like, no, I was camera operator on a thing for AMC.
Yeah.
They did a little web bit, and I've done this. Like, I did a little web bit for AMC, and it's but it's like, I can say, it's like, look, AMC trusts in me enough to pay me to do this for them.
Yeah, the really, the standout fucking moment of the PewDiePie how dare you do this video was when he talks about how hundreds of people worked on Scare PewDiePie and those people don't have jobs anymore. No, the only person who doesn't have a job is PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Everyone else has a career.
work on
They have a
another
resume. You know, they can go somewhere, and that I think that's one reason why you have the reaction to journalism.
PewDiePie Season 2 on their resume, even though it never went to air.
Yeah. I guess at the point I think I'm labouring towards is I, on some level, understand why people are mad at journalists, because I'd be mad if there was a community of people who actually, where people could actually have jobs. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, to a certain extent, TV personalities who can accidentally torch their entire career existence if they say the wrong thing, and justifiably so. I can see them being mad at the production staff or journalists because they exist in a place where they actually do a job and can do multiple ones and stuff, and that's, I guess we're seeing it's an interesting interaction between industries, but there's also just that's just on top of all the other stupid fucking weirdness,
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time saying I understand. I get where JonTron's going, and I feel bad for him when I don't, because he's fucking stupid and has wasted so many opportunities. But
yeah. I mean, it dovetails into my own kind of thing about how I often feel kind of frustrated about where Channel Awesome went. Like that they had this opportunity to actually build something really cool and forward thinking, but they didn't because Mike Michaud is a paranoid asshole.
Yeah, Channel Awesome. I mean, I would have wanted to work for them in 2012 or something.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I want there to be a tell-all documentary about the fucking game show. I want
Game Jam.
Game Jam, is that what it's called?
That was what it was called. You're talking about the you're talking about the reality TV show that Polaris tried to do.
No, the Game Jam, that itself, yes, I also want that. But also the game show that Channel Awesome, was it Channel Awesome?
Channel Awesome's
the $90,000 game show that they did a bunch of test shoots of that never happened.
I know so much about that show.
Yeah.
If you're ever at a convention with Brad, get Brad drunk and ask him about it.
I really want to. Is he going to be at VidCon?
I doubt he'll be at VidCon. Are you going to be at VidCon?
Weren't you there when Lindsay invited me?
Yeah, but are you going?
I'm definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
I really want to go. Honestly,
Yeah.
The one thing I'm worried about is whether or not I'll actually be let into the States.
That's fair at this point.
Will the borders be open come June?
Yeah, will the borders be open even for Canadians at that point,
Yeah.
And if they're not, can someone please deport David Cicuruni?
Do I get a refund if I'm not allowed into the country?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, it would be nice. Jeez.
Yeah, no, the game show. The thing is, I don't want to say anything about it, largely because I don't trust my memory enough to actually be accurate. But I mean, a lot of people have already. I mean, basically, just go back and look at old Brad tweets on the subject. I think most of the information is ultimately out there. It's just not being gathered into one place, which is why it's yes, what we ultimately want is a tell-all documentary that actually gathers everything that people all of the known secrets and just puts them in one place.
Yeah, I'm in this difficult position where I've alluded to knowing stories about JonTron, and I can't actually tell them because these people, they told me not to tell anyone. But also, if I did, it would be incredibly obvious to anyone else who was there who had told me, and I can't, if I said something like, he fucked my girlfriend, that would give it away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that it's who told
just
you
an
that?
unrelated example. Yeah, not to say that happened.
On that note, the funniest thing that happened to me in that vein is that is that back in January, a couple people sent me Facebook messages. People who worked on Suicide Squad. Just like venting about little stories from post-production and essentially just confirming my like basically the hypothesis that I presented in the video. They were basically like, yeah, that was, you more or less nailed it, man. And I was just like, oh god. So like a few people who worked in post-production on Suicide Squad sent me messages to just be like, thank you for saying it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, and it confirmed to me that it's like, okay, that people who were in the thick of it saw this train wreck happening in slow motion.
Yeah, like if you work
like
production,
it's like they knew it. It wasn't just like it came out and people were like, wow, what kind of happened there? It was like, no, in the moment, they knew exactly what was going wrong.
It's a huge shame because like I want Zack Snyder's vision of the DC universe to exist because I think his vision is really interesting. But no one else does. Everyone else working on it probably wants to stop it, and all the other directors have their own different visions that aren't compatible. So it's doomed to be this thing that everyone looks back on as a horrible mistake in 20 years, but there are redeemable concepts in there, and that's it's a shame.
I mean, my main problem is that the redeemable concepts have all just been like stolen off of better writers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, you know, like in Batman versus Superman, like the best lines, you know, that Batman has that how did I just forget his name? The butler, Jeremy Irons' character, Alfred. That Alfred has, like, they've got some really good one-liners in the movie, but I was like, hey, those were good. And then I was like, wait a second, I've heard those before, and I went and looked it up, and most of them were just lifted out of Dark Knight Returns. Yeah,
that's absolutely correct. Like there are so many fantastic things in Batman that should be explored in more detail or should be utilized because, like, Batman is ultimately a means of expressing ideas. It's just a story, and people. It's
a mythos.
Yeah, I've heard really interesting things about still happens in Batman v Superman that I should actually see. But I liked Man of Steel way more than anyone else seems to, and I want that thing to exist. Maybe it's because for me, Watchmen and Sucker Punch were quite formative. Sucker Punch, like, I think is good once, and you get it, and then you can move on with your life. But Watchmen has so many really interesting things where Vietnam in the Watchmen movie is a miasma of movies about Vietnam. Like, it has, I think even Ride of the Valkyries is in it. Like, they actually just use the song. So, like, it's this weird thing where we're flashing back into an imaginary version of the past that couldn't possibly have existed. That didn't really happen. So people live in this world where movies have made up their reality, and I think that says something in a way I like a lot and wish someone did something with.
But even that, he's just lifting straight from Full Metal Jacket, which was already a post-Vietnam movie about Vietnam that exists in a version of Vietnam that is principally informed by movies about Vietnam.
That's true, but because it was such a popular movie, it itself became the inspiration, and that's the thing. Like, it's this feedback loop where now all we know about Vietnam is a movie inspired by other films about Vietnam. And all the people who actually went there, their stories aren't accurate either because their experience would have been fucking so terrifying. How are they going to be objective? You know? We will never know what really happened, apart from the accounts. You know, there are accounts, obviously, that you probably should listen to, but it's the same thing where, I think I said this about the Hurt Locker and the Curious Cat thing, the Hurt Locker is unrealistic in ways that are obvious, even to someone like me. But
when he lifts like 90-pound shells by a wire,
like that, but that accurately reflects the feeling of
the emotional,
and also if you look up to someone as heroic, you remember them differently. Like there's the best scene in Pacific Rim is when you're in Mako's head and she dreams about Stacker Pentecost, and he literally emerges from the robot and he's haloed in golden light.
Yeah, it's like, amazing.
Yeah, that definitely didn't happen, but she remembers it like that because it's such a formative experience, and that's peak storytelling, when you accept that the thing that's happening didn't happen, even in diegetically, but it accurately reflects the feelings of the person there. Like, it's fantastic.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, and Rashomon, like we have an entire genre of story that revolves around that idea.
That's fantastic. And the thing I like the most about 300 and Watchmen are the moments when it almost gets there. And I have a soft spot for Snyder because of that. And it's a shame that in order to do something I quite like a little bit, he's going to destroy an entire one of the two big cinematic universes for all time. For me!
For all time. For decades.
Yeah, like...
For decades. No, and the spillover, like, okay, so I have a video where I call Batman vs. Superman the last important superhero movie. And I stand by that. I have watched this unfold. It's not going to be the last, like, it's not the last good one. It's not the last one that's going to be successful. And clearly, like Civil War outperformed, but Civil War is not important.
Yeah, I actually,
Doctor Strange is not important. None of the ones that are coming out this year are important. Batman versus Superman is going to be the last important superhero movie. And, you know, in 5 years, the genre is going to be dead.
Mm.
And it's going to be Batman versus Superman's fault because the 1-2 punch of Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad burnt everyone out. And burnt it, like, didn't just burn out, like, audience attendance, burnt out audience care, like the investment, the ability to actually, like, give a damn.
Somehow this is a good thing, but I can't think of a way to spin it yet.
It is probably a good thing. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's since there's no actual like life or death consequences. It's the natural progression of genres.
Yeah, Zack Snyder he saved mankind. He walks up to humanity and says, "I'm going to kill superhero movies for you."
The forest fire that
that's
wiped out the underbrush.
Yeah. I have a similar attitude to a director you might have heard of called Peter Jackson, but his last 3 films, The Hobbit Part 1, The Hobbit Part 2, and The Hobbit Strikes Back, all were made for me, and I'm glad I liked them, but unfortunately there seems to be this undercurrent of everyone else for whom they weren't quite the right sort of film, and that's, you know, one of those things. A little while back I highlighted it's just scrolled. It just scrolled just when I was actually going to finally ask it. Julian Bernabeu asks, please create a Discord channel. I have one. DM me asking for the link and I'll link it to you. I like to just give out 30-minute links so people can't easily get into it. Also, if you're a patron, I link to it there. Just because people keep brigading it and I try not to have too many mods so they don't go mad with power. Someone asked me a question that I really wanted to answer and I've lost it, and it was ages ago, and I highlighted it to make sure I remembered it, and now it's gone. That's it. Azelfund Quilava asks, H-Bomb, did you like Rogue One, or did you think it was SG propaganda? I think Rogue One might be the best Star Wars movie. Oh wow, my real-time subscriber count is going down. Oh no.
I liked Rogue One. Like, it was, I don't know, it was flawed. I understand why I liked it, specifically because of like the personal experience with Star Wars that it tapped into. It was Star Wars fan fiction, and so that spoke to young Dan writing Star Wars fan fiction. But on a like actual like structural level, like, my God, is it flawed, and my God, did the game of chicken they played during editing stood out. And I think that is actually a case where there is a substantially better cut of that movie sitting in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, I really like it as it is, and I kind of enjoy even how fragmented it is, where it's clearly... you have to put some of these pieces together because parts of the story have been excerpted, and I kind of like that. I kind of like being trusted to figure it out.
I mean, I was still able to get into it. I think for me, like, it's not even the little parts of the story. Like, I agree that it's like I'm okay with piecing together parts of the story that have been excised. For me, it was this. There's clearly like character bits, like reactions, responses, moments and beats that flesh out the emotional landscape that I think were that's what I feel most keenly missing.
Yeah, I do. There is something about something I really didn't like about Star Wars Tifa was they made the main character like a real person, in the sense of like they have a lot of thoughts and feelings and a lot of longing shots of them figuring stuff out with their brain, when I feel like Star Wars works best when characters are a little harder to understand, or are like caricatures and archetypes that then increase in complexity as a result of seeing how they act. So basically what I'm saying is the reason why people
Rey
write
was a
more
little bit too little bit too internal and a little bit too of a like regular character, as opposed to being a like, okay,
Yeah.
Luke is the plucky squire and
Yeah,
Obi-Wan is the wise wizard.
She was too well characterized, where I don't think she was a good fit for Star Wars, and I think a couple changes could have fixed that, and I even think the editing was designed to try and fix that, just the way it was cut together. But the reason, like the main thing I cite into evidence that this is the case is people are the character interactions that people are most happy about is the one between Poe and Finn. Because those characters are really good Star Wars characters, and the way they interact is peak Star Wars. So the way that like the moment of them really happily hugging each other has been co-opted as this huge moment that's more Star Wars than the main character, which is a bit of a letdown, but that's okay. Whereas I feel like almost every character in Rogue One is that in a really good way. I really enjoy that. I enjoy
I would say that applies to everyone except for Jyn. I think too much of her character got cut out, and that's why I say is missing.
Yeah.
Like they cut out so much that they didn't just go from like complex internal life down to broad caricature. They actually went just that bit too far and into empty vessel.
Yeah, I really like the way, like, when you have a story in which spoilers, everyone
dies.
Everyone has to die for the plot of Star Wars to happen. The only way to do that is you have to characterize them in a very useful way, where they're interesting and compelling, and you don't get another film to see what they do next. You get this one. So you get moments of characterization that happen off screen that you have to realize have happened. So when you run into the weird, maybe he's too radical military guy and realize that he trained her, you then understand him automatically from a lot of her actions later on that she learned this behavior from this guy's teachings. And in a way, the film is most critical of people who aren't radical enough, because that guy is ultimately right. But then you have scenes that should have been in and were just excised, like the entire, like, what was going on with the mind worm?
Yeah, like the mind,
was just a mistake.
like that they left the mind worm in, but they removed the back and forth between Jyn and Mon Mothma.
Yeah, but the actual the actual story of these caricatures learning to like make tough decisions that will kill them and willingly going to their death to do it, and the level of trust required for the operation to happen is really nice. I like it, and there's something. It's the first Star Wars film where I feel like the characters are actually, while being sort of archetypal and stereotypical, they feel like actual people, in the sense that these are people who inhabited the Star Wars universe, as opposed to these are iconic characters.
The fact that we aren't going to get any more stories with these characters, like aside from probably some like tie-in books, like I actually felt bad about that at the end. It was like, no, I actually want to know, like even though they cut most of her character out, like I wanted to spend more time with Jyn.
Yeah, but that's the sign of a good movie. But also maybe it's not because maybe you didn't.
You know, so it's like, okay, so flaws and all, like I got emotionally invested in it, so success.
Yeah. They asked. Tim the Memer asks, what do you think of the CGI characters in Rogue One? I'm okay with it. It wasn't great, but at the same time, there's always been a CGI character working behind the scenes for the villains in Star Wars. It's just, he was like actually a hologram or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. They use... I think they overused Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin, definitely. They could have used him a bit less.
Like, they yeah, they could have used him a bit less, just been a bit more subtle for it. I honestly think what they straight up just should have done was, you see the actor who played Tarkin like on set. I think they should have just left it.
Just have him be Tarkin.
Just have him be Tarkin. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, it's movies. I don't know. I feel like we've entered a phase of filmmaking where it's like where the level of
Hold on a second.
like of continuity.
There is actually an example of a film where there was the original films and there was a guy and he played like an Emperor character, and then way later they made prequels and they had the actor come back even though it made no sense.
Yeah, I mean, well,
it was a series of films called Star Wars. George Lucas made the Emperor come back. Sorry, I just wanted to make that joke.
Yeah, no, like that's a good example. I mean, I would just point to that it's like, okay, the Harry Potter movies, they had what, 2-3 different Dumbledores?
Yeah.
That it's like people, you know, you can if you dress somebody up, get them basically looking the part, and then have everybody refer to them as like, oh, hey Tarkin, what's up? Like, the audience will very, very quickly be like, oh, that's Tarkin. Yeah. He's behaving right. He looks, you know, he's got the high cheekbones, he's got the white hair, he's a kind of like sour looking British dude. All right, that's Tarkin.
Yeah, that probably would have been better. And if not, if it's just a Tarkin-esque person, we still get the point. Like, it doesn't matter that it's literally him, it's just the idea of that caricature is key to that story.
And I think if somebody's watching like all of these in like strict chronological order, the number of other just like sheer differences between Rogue One and A New Hope are going to kind of outweigh the fact that it's like, hey, that's not the same actor.
Yeah, then no one's going to criticize the film for not the same actor. You know,
these movies made like 40 years apart.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
It's weird because I'm in that really difficult position of like, I'm not one of those I liked the old ones people, but now I'm doing that with the prequels because I happen to like, but I liked them when they were new. So now I'm just at the point where I just think The Force Awakens is the least good Star Wars movie. But that's not bad because the Star Wars films are all above average, at least. I mean, but I don't think they're magical, era-defining genius pieces of.
I think they're zeitgeist-defining.
Maybe they are.
They
definitely did define a zeitgeist.
I think they're era-defining for good and ill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we ultimately get to decide if.
Well, I mean,
like, oh, well,
as
they
in,
don't
I don't
deserve to
think
be era-defining. It's like, yeah, but they did define an era.
Oh, I agree about that. I mean, as in, I don't think they're masterpieces in the same way that a lot of people do think they are. I'm talking, of course, about the originals here. No one thinks the prequels are masterpieces except me. But
I mean, I think Empire Strikes Back is the closest that any Star Wars has ever actually come to like really well and truly being an exceptional piece of filmmaking.
Yeah,
I think aside from that, they have been very good, above average, like high quality, really energetic, really engaging, really just imagination capturing pieces of world building.
I'm revising upwards my opinion of Rogue One, not just because I thought it was good, but because the fact that a Star Wars movie can come out in 2016 and I can actually just like it and think it's good makes me feel good inside, because I know that I've maintained some objectivity, because I was worried that what if I've been compromised because I just really didn't like The Force Awakens all that much. What if I'm doing the thing I think people are doing to the prequels? But the answer no is The Force Awakens just wasn't that good. So
I really love The Force Awakens.
That's fair. Like, there are things about it that I'm not one of those people who's like, it's the worst movie ever. It's just the least good of it in a series that I do think is very good, even if they're not like the best films of all time. What I'm saying is film discussion is so complex, and that's why people shouldn't make 10-minute YouTube videos with opinions, and they should make them longer and more complex. I really like your style of you talked for 35 minutes about Suicide Squad in the most condensed way you could, but then made 2-3 videos about specific things in there that needed even more elaborating on. I think that's a really fantastic way of doing it. And I think I'm falling down that path in my thing where I talked for 90 minutes about Bloodborne, and now I have to go back and talk for maybe as long about the game that I actually should have been defending the whole time. Like, jeez. Oh, the numbers dude asks, this will be the last thing I do because I have to go. Did you see Get Out? Yes, I saw Get Out in America in a theatre in Williamsburg, and it was fantastic. I really, really liked it. It's very, very, very good. It's funny and scary, and it's like meaningful, and people clapped when the guy did the stuff. It was great. It's a really, really good movie. I've never been happier in my life to see the word airport. It's great, and we did have to have a long talk about race afterwards, though. It's a difficult movie to watch if you're in a relationship with a person who is not white, but it's good. It's really good. I loved it, and I cannot wait for the next thing made by Peele. I can't wait. I wonder what Key's up to.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it.
Just to answer. Oh yeah. So, like, it's. I don't know. Okay, I know why I haven't. Okay, the reason why I haven't seen it yet is because I have an anxiety disorder that makes it really hard to leave the house. So yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. The next time I actually feel like leaving the house, I'm probably going to go see it. That's
a pretty understandable thing. But maybe if you wait long enough, it'll be out on demand in some way, and that's pretty good. I think it's definitely the kind of movie where, while the theater experience was interesting for me as a person who was in America and happened to see it in a place with an audience of people who would get it, that was meaningful. But I also think it's a film that would be very well served by watching it on your own or in like a home viewing experience. So I wouldn't say you have to see it, you're missing out, because it's going to exist forever. You can watch Get Out every day soon, and that's good. I'm happy about that. That's a thing to consider. I think the last film I was this enthused about was maybe Fury Road. Maybe? I don't know. It's been a year since that one came out, so there could be another thing.
Holy crap. Sorry, just no, fun stuff. Okay, so I've been bugging Sony Santa Monica for like a couple weeks now, just kind of jokingly, about sending me a replacement code for God of War Ascension.
Oh my god.
And they just got back to me. They're like, "Hey, email us at this address and assist you more there." I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. Like, I can't think of a single good reason why they wouldn't send me a free online code for God of War Ascension.
Because they want to close
I'm
the
sure
servers
there
down.
are like 2 people playing multiplayer in.
Dan, I might have to buy God of War and see if I can get somehow to play on your server. See if like the servers are the same, because I want to multiplayer you in God of War Ascension.
Wait, do you have a copy with an online pass?
I can get a copy. I can find one somewhere.
All right.
I can try. This seems like a thing to do. This might be the last time to ever play.
I just want a free replacement for my online pass, because the one that came with I'm waving it at my camera, even though my camera is not on. The one that came with my copy doesn't work anymore because it expired, because it's not a pass, it's a coupon. It's a coupon.
This has been fantastic, but we've been listening to the Dreamtown Extended Fallout soundtrack for 29. Look, I desperately need a Wii and also to watch anime with my girlfriend. I lost all 3 chess games. Nice. Tune in for the next chess loss streak stream and see how long I can go. Thanks a lot for being with me, Dan.
No problem.
Do you want to shout out where you can be found on the Twitter?
I can be found on Twitter at FoldablyHuman, and on the YouTube, my channel is Folding Ideas.
Cool. And I'm on the YouTube channel you're on right now. See ya. How do I fade to black? It worked. Wow, cool.
You need